We're part of the team here at Douglas Tackle World, and tonight we're going to teach you all about what we do for soft plastic fishing for flathead. Guys down the back, can you hear us okay? Good? Okay, good. We'll speak loudly as long as we can. So we're going to cover everything, guys. So we love flathead fishing, and I guess all you guys do, that's why you're here. And the greatest thing about flathead is I always say, it's like a lucky dip. You cast one cast, it might be a little rat, 30 centimetres, the next cast might be a 90, you don't know. And they all live in the same place and side by side. So that's the beauty of flathead fishing. And trolling, same scenario, but casting we really like. Yeah. You've probably seen us on TV, we're very competitive when we go fishing together, but our emphasis is to teach you guys how to do it properly. And we don't probably go into super detail when we're fishing, because most of the time we're fishing in our hotspots, which we may share with you. We may share close to it. There's a map in your bag which will go through. Last thing tonight, we'll go through the areas. But the main thing is we want to teach you the gear, and then preparation is number one in any type of fishing. You need to be prepared right to go into battle. So teaching you about the lures, the rods, the reels, the line, the tools, and the jig heads and what we use, and the vibes and such is what we're going to do. So we're going to do lures last, Stu? Yep. And then we'll start off probably at rods and reels. Yep. And then we'll go to braid, and then we'll go to leader. Yep. And then we'll go to lures. Okay, so you don't have to go very expensive to have a flathead combo, but you do need to have something that has a little bit of stiffness to it when you're using plastics. It can't be a soft tip, clear tip type rod, solid tip type rod, generally speaking. So most of these rods are carbon, and as I said, it looks thin, but it's actually quite stiff to pull up on. It's quite stiff. If it was solid glass or a solid tip rod, when I did that, it would just bend straight over. The reels, generally speaking, 2,500 or 2,000 is about where I'd start at. That's a 2.5, and up to about a 4, Stu? Yeah. 4,000 maximum is about the size you want to go in size. 4,000 we use more for casting bigger lures up on the flats, or for in the deep water, doing a bit of like big plastic sort of jigging. We're using plastics at a 120, 150 mil, and maybe 3/4 or a 1 ounce jig head. Otherwise, the softer ones like this one here, with 1 ounce jig head, is going to be a bit bent over. Okay, so every rod has a different purpose. To be honest, you probably only need 2 different rods really to do it right. Well, we probably got about 8 each. But
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But something like that, we got that's on special to Australia, guys. It's $109. We sold a lot last week in the seminar. And if you look online, it's pretty good value. That's a little Shimano. When you go up the scale in quality, you jump up. Actually, it's about the same price, I think. This is a heavier one, like I was saying before. If you want something a bit heavier, that's a 3,000 size reel. The braid on there's only use a light line. We certainly use like 10 or 15 pound in the deep. We don't use very heavy. When we're fishing for the bigger flatties, it's more the leader ups in size, and the rod becomes a little bit stiffer to take those bigger jig heads. So that's about the same price, around $199. And then as your quality gets more higher, the quality in the rod becomes a lot lighter, and it feels like an extension of your body. It feels like a weapon in your hand. Like it's right. This is a Loomis with a little Stratic on it, and the braid which we'll run through in a moment, is extremely thin. So you go to a higher quality braid. These days you can go, we use, this is 14 pounds, I think it is, at 6 pound diameter on the next closest braid to it. So it's very, very thin. So what that enables you to do is a lot of things. It enables you to cast further. It enables you to have a lot less windage when you're drifting in wind and casting. It enables you to work your line with the current or against the current. We normally can't do with thick braids, but thin braids you can. You can work it against the current, and you actually make contact with the bottom. If you use a thicker braid, you can't make that contact at the bottom. So once it goes past you when you're jigging it in, and it goes past you at the boat, or from the shore, doesn't matter, you'll never reach the bottom. It just doesn't get there. So very thin braid will allow you to do that extra bit of jigging past that point. The other thing is, with the Dura rods, as they get better and more carbon, a lot of the bites you feel is just like a little tink. Have you ever experienced a little tink? And that's generally, you get a hit and they've grabbed it. They may even be sitting on it. And then when you go to do the wind up, they're already on there. But a lot of the time, you'll just feel that tink and straight away you can strike, where if your braid's a bit too thick or normal type braid, a lot of times you can't feel that tink as easy. So it allows you to do that. And any other thing you want to add to that, Stu?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is carbon quality in rods. Like a cheaper rod will always be a little bit doughier than like
This is
an
very
expensive rod. It's quite fast in action. And it's just in relation to hook set. So with plastic fishing, generally you've only got, or little vibes, you've got a few hooks, but a plastic with a jig head, you're always just running one hook, but it's quite large. So you can afford to run that stiffer rod because you've got to set one hook. You don't have 6 little treble points hanging around, like 2 sets of trebles to hook on the meaty parts. You just got to set that one hook quite fast. So
when you get to that quality, you're talking like they're about $1,000 retail. Online it's about $7.99, but they do it for $6.99 tonight. Yeah. But that's as good as you need to go. There is a next step again and again and again. But that's about as high as what I go. And Stewie fishes, this is the lighter version of that rod, which is a 6 to 10. That's what Stewie uses, the same rod.
Yeah, I've got the older model of this one, and it's really good. I've caught a lot of fish on it. It sets a hook good for a pretty light rod, but it's just so light to fish all day.
So just more crisp. So as I said before, braids. I always do this every seminar. We'll cut a bit of braid off, the same braid as on those reels, to show you how thin it is. And there's different braids. You want to talk about the braids there, Stu, at all?
So braid used to be kind of like the first major advance in fishing for a long time when it went from mono to braid, but looking back at it, it was absolutely horrible. It was very thick, it was very ropey to feel. But as braids progress now, it's not a fused braid anymore. The original braids were fused, so they were quite flat or quite square. Whereas now they're woven. So you have 8 strands or 6 strands that are woven to make that one complete piece. The more strands they weave and the tighter the weave, generally the more expensive the braid is, but the smoother it is. So if you feel that one going around, it's very, very smooth. It casts a lot further, it's a lot thinner. This is a YGK made braid, so it's one of the largest braid manufacturers in the world. They're in Japan. And this is kind of like their middle of the range one. So there's one up from this as well. The difference is just the quality of fibre that they use. So basically the better fibre, it's going to last longer, it's going to be thinner, which allows you to cast further and feel more bites. Yeah, man.
I just noticed with the thinner braid, maybe it was the old style.
Yeah.
I try to use it and it just get locked up on my rod tip, particularly in windy conditions. Is the new stuff prone to that?
Nah, the new stuff's really good, like especially with wind knots and stuff like that. Like you used to be able to pull a wind knot and it'd just lock up straight away. It'd break at the knot every time. Yeah. I've spooled it with 16 pound of like the better stuff, and I've had one wind knot, and I overfilled the spool on purpose just to test it. And it's like I got one wind knot and I just pulled it and it came straight out.
Yeah. Let's have that combo.
That one.
The yellow one.
Yeah. So the second.
The yellow one, sorry. I was going to show something here. Cheers, buddy. So the next lot of braid coming around, this is probably the most inexpensive braid at the highest quality, which is, you've all got one in your bags. It's around about $39 retail, where the green one going around is about $60 retail. And same, very similar. This is a little bit thicker, but for that price point, if you went back, say, 2 or 3 years ago, it'd be $89, you know, it'd be the highest quality. But the green one's leapfrogged it again, but this still, give it a shot, in your bags, and what you're using now, and you use that, you'll probably see the difference that we're talking about, okay?
The same strength, the green one and the...
very similar, very similar, yeah.
Green one's actually slightly heavier.
Slightly heavier.
But you'll find that the second one going around is going to break it about the same as the first one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then I'll just pass this one here around. So this is also American braid, so it's extremely strong.
Yeah, American braids are generally, you'll find that Japanese really want to go thin as possible and use the highest quality stuff. Not saying that the Americans don't, but it's definitely a thicker braid. Americans generally thicker and it's a lot more ropey, but it breaks well above what they state on the packet. Yeah, generally. Sorry folks, just for a sec. So So it's one of those things as well. The interesting thing is when you buy a line overseas like Japan as such, they actually, you walk into a shop and you don't say I want a $30 braid or a $50 braid. You say you want a 1 year braid or a 4 year braid. Everything says it's sold as a lifespan of the braid. So the more you pay, the longer it's going to last. So even if you look on the stuff on the wall and you say, oh geez, that's like $60, it's going to last probably about 4 times longer than the $30 one. Yeah.
Yeah. So and to me, like, I know the rod and reel is important, but the braid's probably going to be my number one importance, nearly, besides my lure choice, for flathead fishing. And the reason being, as I was saying, everything before casting, working it, feeling it, trying to get as many wind knots as you get in cheaper stuff. It has so many advantages for paying an extra 20 or $30 to buying a cheaper one.
Yeah.
Okay. That's where you should be putting your money into, is a braid. The rod and reel's next. Yeah. But give that one a go, because as I was saying before, that is the best value braid on the market at the moment for price. That's a very good braid. It's the Rovex D8 cast. Okay, so we've done the rods, the reels. Any questions on the rods and reels, folks? Keep your rod length about, as you go shorter, go heavier. Does that make sense a little bit? So unless you're casting up in the flats. If you want to do the flats and the deep, you really need a 7-foot rod, simple as that. If you want to do, or 7'2", if you want to do the deep only, you drop down to 6'6" or 6'10", or even 6'3". In the deep means like Kalinga Bank, we're fishing in like 10 metres of water or 15 metres of water, or the Seaway, and you're fishing out the second ledge on the rocks, or any of the Millionaire's Row.
Yeah.
And you're using a bit bigger jig head, you're fishing in really hard current, and you need to fish it fairly heavy, and you nearly teabag. You actually might cast a distance out of the depth, but you don't actually cast a long way and get it back, because you're in really snaggy country, rocks, trees, and lots of tackle that have been caught up. So we fish nearly vertically and just lift it up and drop it down. We'll talk about that a bit later though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's about it that you really need to know on that stuff there, okay? My rods, I'm going to show you your rods first, mate.
So we'll go with yours first.
Oh, thanks.
yours first, so.
So I have many rods, but this is just two that I grabbed today. This one here is one of my heavier rods. So I'll put that up there. So it's just a little bit heavier. This one I use for casting my bigger lures, maybe even stick baits, and I definitely use it in the deep. The reel is a 3000 Nasky, I think it is. And the rod's just a Samaki Archer. It's around about probably, it's an Ultegra, sorry. Oh, it's a Nasky. So the whole combo is probably spooled up around about around a $400 combo max, okay? So that's sort of my go-to a lot of time, but my main go-to that I'm casting all day long, I love using Zodius. Zodius is a Shimano rod. This is the lighter one. It was a bit lighter again, but my kids snapped the tips off it. This is Ultegra on this one. That combo is probably about $500 worth. I use a lot for using little vibes, and I use it a lot for casting smaller plastics. So it's a lot lighter than that one there. And then I have rods in between as well, but
yeah.
Stuart's going to show you his couple here.
So I kind of take 4 rods everywhere, just to make it hard. But like casting wise, I have 2 light ones and 2 light ones, a medium one and a heavy one. So that's my lightest rod. So I throw all my little vibes on that. As I said before, you've got a lot of little hooks. So you don't want to have a rod that's too stiff, because you're going to rip those little hooks out of fish or bend them. The gauge on the hooks on the vibes are quite thin. So you just want to have quite a soft rod just to accommodate it, but still stiff enough to be able to set the hook. I just got 3 pound on that, 3 pound braid, but it's older stuff, so it's about the thickness of that first one going around that 14.
I'd say it's thicker.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah.
What's the real size, sorry, Stu, on that?
That's a 1000. So I use a 1000 on my light stuff. Yep. And then
I don't use under 2.5. 2.5.
When you say light stuff, obviously tiny ones. But
small plastics, yeah.
if you were using you wouldn't go higher than like a 1/4 ounce jig head sort of setup on that? Or?
On that one, I'd probably fish like a 6 max. Yeah, yeah. This is kind of like my 1/6 rod. So it's just a little bit stiffer, very similar but a little bit stiffer. That's just a little $2,000. That's got that 16-pound super thin stuff on. That's just small plastics.
That's much thinner than the 3 pound you had before.
Heaps thinner, yeah. So that's just a little, I use this for all my prawn style lures. It's going to sound weird, but I've got a rod for every lure. It's slightly different action, so it does make a difference.
I've got room for my 1 rod and 2 hand lines, so I go with him.
Yeah, that's
I can't fit 3 rods, so I use hand lines.
Yeah, that's right. This is like my medium rod. So this is the same as that other one that we showed earlier, that LURES. This is just an older model. And I use all like small 3-inch stuff and creature baits on this one. So that's just a little, I don't know what you'd call that, like a little yabby type.
Yeah, they're Jackson lure from Japan. They're very good.
Very good.
Yeah.
They're only pretty new out. I'll fish up to about a quarter on that. And then 1/6, 1/4. And then
one more, Stewie.
One more, last one. So this is like my flats fishing, throwing big hard bodies, bigger plastic, so that's a 4-inch plastic. Fish up to about 3/8 on this rod. And I do deep water with it as well. This is like the go-to everything rod.
And size reel?
2500.
Yeah.
What braid is on that, Stewie?
This is old as well, 6-pound spider wire, American braid, but it's very, very thick butt. Yeah.
I'd use that to tow a 4 drive out of the bog.
That's right. Maybe a chimney, that's about it. Yeah. But it's super, as I said before, the American braids are super strong, but they're just thick. Yeah, in comparison. Yeah.
So what we're getting at, guys, is it doesn't have to be a 1000 size reel anymore. A 2.5, a 3, even 4, with that thin line on it, casts as easy as a little 1000 used to back in the day, you know. So yeah, so whatever we got, the braid's important. Any questions on that at all, folks? Rods and reels. Okay, let's get to the better part. The lures. Oh, actually, we'll start at jig heads first. We got jig heads.
Jig heads first.
Then we'll put the lures on the jig heads. They fall off all the time.
Yeah.
You just do one little twitch up and it's fallen down the attachment. So we always suggest to go to 2 things you could do. Is you go to like most other jig heads which have the attachment back a little bit, so it actually goes to the front of it and grips onto the shank, and it can't pull off because it goes like that, right, over the attachment down the shank. The other thing you do is, which I've done many times over the years, is you just have a little bit of like super glue or Loctite. You want quick set stuff though, and just put a little dab on, and you'll get a lot of fish out of that one plastic. You'll get maybe 6 or 8 more fish than what you would normally not using super glue. And the reason being is that no matter what plastic you're using, when you get a fish on, it generally rips the little point a little bit, and then you'll find when I've turned my plastic around this way and that way and every way and still caught fish on it. And I've caught up to probably, I think 13 or 15 fish on non-Z-Man plastics, but I get full benefit by utilising every little area, like ski with sideways, everything still works until you do it anymore. But when you put this super glue on, it'll look beautiful for at least 6 or 8 fish on any plastic. On the Z-Man style, or that 10X type material, you'll probably get up to about 15 fish on it with the super glue attachment. The only problem is you'll get a little bit of build up on the jig head. You'll need to get a little knife or a little something and just scrape it off before every maybe 3 or 4 plastics, which might be after 1 hour's fishing. You scrape it back a little bit and then put it on next and super glue it on again.
Yeah.
Just don't glue your fingers.
Yeah, a lot of the time if you're going to glue plastics, I'd suggest just using like a little quick clip and just change the whole thing and just have another one rigged, glued at home, and you just clip it on and you're away. It's a bit hard gluing in boats and stuff. It's not too bad, but it's just a little bit of a pain, yeah.
Once saw Stewie whining like that, and I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "My fingers got stuck together last jig head." So it's true.
Yeah, but so they work on anything that's not a LazTech, like stretchy material.
And then, like I said before, this is probably one of the biggest selling jig heads. It's the 1620 in the TT, in the what do you call them? The headlock series. But it's the L series, which is the lighter hook. So it sets really easy on that very thin braid. Most of the time you don't need a big heavy hook unless you're fishing a deep and you're in a snag area and you want to rip the fish out of the bottom area so it doesn't get to the bottom. But flathead rarely, I think very rarely, will try and snag you on something. They'll run away and they'll run into the current, or with the current, sorry, but they won't dirty fight you. So as long as your drag's not too tight, because your drag becomes the strongest part of the whole outfit, rod, reel, line, everything. If your drag's too tight, something's going to give, and that's generally the hook bends if you've got too much drag on. You should never do that now, because flathead have the big habit of shaking their head. When they shake their head, they rasp your leader, and you're looking for trouble anyhow. So always fish I fish a fairly stern drag, like a hard one, but it's still able to pull it off reasonably easy. If you're doing the jerk it up down, you get a little you're not tight enough. You can't set the hook. So that's a very popular size and hook. And then there's, well actually I'll go the colour ones. So colour ones are really popular as well. And does it work more? I'd have to say yes, it does. It does a lot. And from the people that we sell it to, they say the same as well. But if you're only using the colour one, obviously it's going to work better than not wearing any colour. So it's like pink. Pink's a bigger seller, but because pink, everyone uses pink. Another one I really like is the little Ned locks. They're a tiny hook, but my gosh, we get heaps of flatties up to 70 centimetres on these on the flats. There's something about a Ned locks that just works. I don't know
It's the
what
way
it
it sits, and I think the fact that it's blunt on the front, when you jig it, the blunt face hitting water, it's going to jump higher faster, whereas a pointy jig head darts a lot more.
And I think when it falls, it actually might quiver a little bit on the fall because it's flat against going down, and they just love it. We're working really hard with TT, and I've pushed the owners so many times to do that in like a 2.0, 1.6, 1.8, 3.0, 3.8's half, 4.0s, 5.0s. He's working on it. So they've been our big sellers as of recent before we get to the main event, which is the moment. But there is another one that's just come out, which we've been testing these now for about 2 months before they come out. These are a product from Bite Science. They use BKK hooks. They're extremely sharp. So, and I've rarely dropped a fish on these. Every fish I've hooked on these I've got, but I'm not used to it.
Yeah, they're really good.
Sometimes hook. TT we do miss occasionally. Not too bad, but these things we don't miss. Yeah. And they're value for money plus.
Yeah, it's kind of like a medium wire hook as well. I know it's a bit boring talking about the thickness of hooks and stuff, but it does make a really big difference.
It's all part of the parcel.
Look, if you look at a flatty, the anatomy of a flathead's mouth, it's 90% bone. And if you look at 90% of the fish that you hook them in the top section, and you've got to penetrate that bone. So there's no point in using a real soft sloppy rod, a really heavy thick gauge hook that doesn't go in, because you're just going to lose so many. Like, I'm sure it's happened to a lot of people, and still happens to us. You hook a fish and you think it's good, and you get it near the boat and you go to do the net and it just looks at you, opens its mouth, and the hook goes flying out. The whole time it just clamped on it. You didn't set the hook, or the hook rotated in its mouth somewhere funny, but it's a big thing just to get that hook through. Yeah.
See, Stuart did a lot. So they do obviously a bigger range as well. They do 3.0s, 5.0s. Their size, they brought out like the most popular size in each size hook, but they got a lot of range to add to the fleet as it goes on. When we're fishing in the deep with these bigger plastics, I'm using this sort of size, which is like a 5.0 with sort of 5/8 or half ounce or whatever it might be. That's a really good hook for fishing in the deep.
Just in terms of everyone saying, fish as light a jig head as you can.
Yeah.
I assume now in a braid, like you keep talking about the importance of braid. Is it conceivable that you can go lighter because you can cast it further? Because a lot of the challenges I always had is if you've got a small jig head,
you can't cast it.
Like,
that's right.
Fish only just big at the moment, right? The keys. I can't cast anything big. They won't get hooked, but I can't cast the little thing.
Yeah. You will with this type of braid, and braid that's in your bag as well. Yep. So you'll find that like we use it all the time now, obviously. And when you're casting it, you actually have to get used to not overshooting, especially if you're casting to, say, along the rock wall at the seaway or something like that, or in amongst timber that's along cleaning the bank, because you'll end up in the trees or in the rocks.
That's good to know.
It's interesting.
Around, you
Yeah.
reach a line and then it kinks,
Mm.
and then you know you're on the bottom.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
correct.
But if it's too light, often in the past, I haven't been able to tell that.
Yeah, no, you'll get straight to the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, sig rate's a lot faster. So any questions on the jig heads there so far?
Yeah, with like, say the range liner here,
Yeah.
the setup, casting like on the flats, and that, what's your, your go-to jig head size?
Probably go 1/6, 1/4.
1/6.
And
Yeah.
2.0
And
or
a
1.0.
hook.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's just like an all-rounder sort of basic thing?
Yep.
Pretty
Yep.
much, yeah.
And it suits most of the plastics that are that sort of 3 or 4 inch size.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you.
Now, football jig heads, I've been a mentor of these things for many years.
Yeah.
And I love using them with shrimp. So football jig head, I'll show you a big version so you see what I'm talking about. If you can see it down the back there. So that's it there. It's like a football shape. Okay, they're American design. These ones I do super glue on Z-Man. Other ones I don't have to. The hook point's good enough. But the beauty of it is they always sit flat. They always sit upright. And most of the soft plastics that you use they float up. So it actually sits up while the head's flat. So when you do the first twitch up, it's not rolling over and coming up. It's just straight away like alive, like it's flickered, especially the shrimp or the prawns. And it is like dead set really dangerous jig head for catching fish. We used to have a guy, John McCubbin, bless his soul, good old mate. He brought the molds out to Australia years ago and started doing these and coloured them. They're powder coated in different colours, and it was a unique thing, and we sell thousands of these.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately he passed away, and then Doug McCubbin, his brother, was doing it, and then that same thing happened again. So now Stewie's doing it. Yeah.
Yep.
So Stewie's doing these, and they come in right down to 1/8, which is.
Yeah, so 1/8
Very
is good
tiny.
for that shallow stuff, and then most of the time we're using 1/4 and 3/8.
I'll pass around 3 or 4 sizes. 3/8 and a half used to be all I used to use, but now I use right down. I use a lot of quarters.
Different colour.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
That's it.
That'll do. Okay.
Have we got a 1/4?
Oh, that was quarter.
Just watch
Yeah,
the
so,
videos, mate, but,
They are unique. The beauty of these is that they're done up on Gamakatsu hooks, so Japanese hooks. They're extremely sharp. The fish look at it, they're hooked. Yeah.
yeah. And I think the biggest thing is the hook's always up, as Dougie was saying. It's not so much to make it look better. It's for when you feel that bite and you go to like either set the hook or your action next. The hook's up and it can't be flat this way in the flatty's mouth, and they slide out. If it's up, it's straight through the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing
Yeah.
too is they tend to, particularly shrimp and prawns, plastics, it makes them glide. As seriously, they fly through the water. They don't actually just fall down. They actually go like that and go down.
Yeah.
And the flathead just want to eat it. Yeah. Okay. So it's an advantage. You need to try it. So we sell those too. And Stewie's just done up 500 of them. There's probably only about 300 left after this morning.
That's it.
It's only been one
Yeah.
day. So that's the jig head scenario, guys. Any questions on jig heads at all? So fishing, I'll give you an idea if you put this into practice. Under 2 metres of water, I'd be going 1/6, maybe 1/4, okay, depending on the current. If you're fishing, say, up to 4 metres of water, 3/8 would be about the maximum you want. And if you're fishing that deeper water, let's say Kalinga, Seaway, whatever, maybe up to 1 ounce or half or 3/4. Half would be the lightest, ounce would be the heaviest. Okay, but if you're going to do flats fishing, fishing in on the edge of the sandbanks and stuff like that, yeah, 1/6 or 1/4 is enough.
What about the weedless jig heads like the snake lock?
Yeah, snake locks and like they're good, but your hookup rate's not as good.
Yeah.
It's honestly not. Like,
Hook
especially when you fish-
exposure is
yeah,
a big thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the flatty eats it and spits it out so quick. If you don't have that hook proud, it's just going to fall straight out. Yeah.
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 Question for you.
Yes.
the football heads we've found, if you've got young players and people who aren't used to flathead fishing, the football heads are the go, because
Yeah.
they just sit up.
Yeah, yeah.
If your normal plastic, you'll Danny said you'll lie on the bottom.
Mm.
Your football head will sit up, so it's already doing half the work for you.
Yeah, in the
It's
current, it's already
sitting up there in
moving.
the current.
It's very
Especially
lifelike.
with kids, especially with kids,
Yeah.
the kids, they can just leave it sitting on the bottom, wiggling away and wait for the flathead to grab a hold, and they just got to start winding.
Yeah. My kids used to have fish with me all the time,
Oh,
but that's because I was tying knots.
yeah, that's
A lot. So I'll get guys. That's Jason Swain. Jason's from the Gold Coast Sport Fishing Club. How many guys here fishing the Flathead Classic or thinking about fishing the Flathead Classic? A few of you. A few more hands going about thinking. So Jason's going to talk about for about 5 minutes, probably midway before we talk about technique. And you got any questions? Obviously, you can talk to Jason afterwards. You'll be here for 20 minutes, something like that. Yeah, and we've got pamphlets and stuff downstairs on, so we'll get you up in a moment, my friend. Okay, good on you. So we fished the Flathead Classic too. Last year we come third. Come second a couple of times. Stewie's come first in juniors. And it's a great comp, but we'll talk about it later. Okay. So plastics. We might start at vibes. So vibes, has anyone here used vibes at all? Soft vibes? Okay, and how have you done? All right, done okay? So?
Alright, not the best, but soft plastics are better, but soft vibes use them sometimes.
Right, okay. So soft vibes are, like this year, they are loving soft vibes. Are seriously loving it. So we're using it probably nearly every second cast. So
Yeah.
probably, if we got a 4-hour session, 2 hours we spent using the vibe. Or if we're not getting fish on the soft plastics, we'll switch to the vibe and then we'll catch fish straight away. So does that mean it works better than soft plastic? Maybe it does, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's pretty hard,
It's one of those
but
things.
it's a guarantee.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Like you can fish an area we found specifically this year. If you asked me probably, I don't know, 6 months ago if I'd tied a vibe, I would have said they're horrible, they're crap, I hate them. But now I've always got a rod rigged with one. And you can fish an area, I don't know how it works, but you can fish an area hard for say half an hour and throw
Soft
every soft plastic ever at it and hard bodies. And then the first cast with one of these, you hook a fish. And then the second cast, you get another one. Like, it's just odd. I don't know if it's action or a slightly different colour. They do come in pretty good colours, but yeah.
And we've only been using the small ones, but in past history, I think you got one in your bags around that size. That was the size I used to use. And it works really well. But this year, everything seems to be downsized.
Yeah.
Whether we're fishing the flats, instead of using, 4-inch prawns like that type of thing there, we're using like little fellows like that size there, a lot smaller, half the size. And we're catching still 70s or 60s or whatever it might be.
Find it catch more snotweed with vibes.
You do catch
do.
more stuff. So
Yeah.
I was about to get to that. So the disadvantage of vibes is that you can't really use it where the bottoms are still weed. Okay, as soon as it hits the bottom, you go to the first lift up, you get caught in the weed.
Yeah.
You pull it out, but the weed comes with it, and you just wasted that cast. So you use it where you've got sand and weed patches, and you cast between the weed patches. That's where the flathead are anyhow, on the edge of the weed. Or if you've got an area that's a bit muddy, muddy bottom / sandy bottom, works really well there as well. Where you've got clear pathway to cast it. Okay, and yes.
If you're in shallow using a small vibe, what sort of action?
Yeah, very little, but lift up a little bit. The shallowest I'd use it in would probably be maybe a metre.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you used to.
Yeah, about half a metre. Yeah, I use it pretty shallow, but
Casting and
yeah, like actively fishing it back. Yeah, I just use it very similar action to as you'd use a soft plastic, to be honest. Yeah, you find if you rip them too hard, they foul on themselves. So you got to kind of fish a bit gentle, and instead of fishing like with a plastic, you'd work it and there'd be that loose line at the end. With a vibe, if you can work it and stay in contact as it sinks, you feel a lot of bites on that sink and it doesn't foul on itself. Yeah.
I've only used them in the deep and I've done well.
Yeah, vertically deep. So the
Vertical
bigger
stuff,
size,
yeah.
that's how I've done on most of my vibing before, mate. So I use those bigger vibes and I use them in, where the drop off is maybe 3 to 5 metres deep and vertically jigging. Always worry about they get caught on trees and timber and weed really easy.
Yeah, they catch
But
everything.
they catch fish. Jeez,
Yeah.
they catch fish, especially this year, especially the little ones.
Yeah. Yes,
So-
Jeff.
Favourite vibe?
Look,
Sorry, mate?
Your favourite vibe?
yeah, I like the Samaki stuff.
Samaki.
Yeah, 70
Yeah.
mil, just a small one. The 85's not too bad as well, but yeah, 70 mil. Yeah.
I do use some of the Xerics, but I find they're better. And that's just me. Yeah.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
do they compare in weight to some of the metal ones that you use for trolling for the same sort of?
A lot heavier. So they're like your friend when it's windy or the current's strong. So sometimes you just, especially if you don't have electric outboard, you're stuck blowing quite fast. You need to use a vibe.
Yeah.
And the reason being, like a little one like that's 10 grams, which is 3/8. And it's tiny. You know, the bigger ones, that's half ounce. And that bigger size before, they did do a lighter and heavier version of it. But if you have to use the heavy, they're about 5/8 or something.
Yeah.
They catch everything.
They catch everything. Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Catch
Rocks.
Squid.
Yeah. They catch rocks as well, crab pots, trees. But no, they're really good.
I actually bought a pair of jeans the other week.
You got a pair of jeans. Was there any money in the pocket?
No, I didn't want looking at stuff. I couldn't myself.
But yeah, they're really, really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, as you're saying, mate, in the current, if you're drifting really fast and your soft plastic either just can't get to the bottom, unless you're using real thin, not braid, or it's going too fast past you, that'll hold its ground, and you hop it up and it'll hold the ground, won't actually go past you. Yeah, so they're really good.
Yeah.
And if it's windy, you can get a long distance cast. You don't get that big bow in your line casting side onto the wind. It'll be straight out into the wind. Yeah.
The only thing with vibes, it's probably gonna be the killer is storage. You can't. It's not just a thing that you can chuck. Yeah. I'll show you. But it's not just a thing that you chuck in your tackle box and just hope for the best.
This is Stewie's tackle box. You might have saw mine on that video, plastic bag. This thing is good, but it's
that's right.
too organised for me. Stu.
Mate, everything's easy, but I'll pass the little box around. But they're all just the small vibes. I've got a box for the bigger vibes as well, but it just holds all the tails very straight, and they don't bend and kink and.
That's foam
all that
filled. You
stuff.
just drop the hooks into
Foam
the
filled. You
slots
just prong
on it.
them in. But yeah, they do those boxes in bigger sizes as well, like for bigger vibes and stuff. But
My box is the plastic bag you saw, and this vibe here has got a bit of a kink to the back of it. It's not quite straight. But the other day I would have caught about 30 fish in sort of 3 hours, and I think that caught about 6 of them probably.
yeah,
And it's, even though it's bent, it still worked really well. But they're not meant to be bent though.
no.
Yeah. So I'm sitting in the bag upside down. But if you keep them flat and straight, they're fine.
Speaking of storage, do they get impacted by touching another one?
Yeah, they will.
If
Oh,
they're all
Z-Man,
the same
maybe.
brand, it's pretty good. But
Yeah.
I try to keep different brands from touching. Yeah, but the color doesn't bleed. Like if they do touch each other, it doesn't bleed or anything. So yeah. 'Cause that's the other thing. The worst thing is if you got say half a dozen vibes and you throw a plastic in your box with it, you come back next week and there's your half a dozen vibes. It's just a molten mess. Yeah.
Same with your prawns. Is there a prawn or something? You just chuck it in the box and next thing
Yeah.
it's just coloured by something.
You got to keep
Yeah.
them separately.
Yeah.
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 Any questions on the vibes at all, folks? All good? Okay. So vibes are great. The next thing is probably going to be like your flat rats, that type of thing.
Yeah, so like a pre-rigged plastic, like the flat shads are probably they're probably our most popular pre-rigged plastic in terms of fishing over weed and stuff. I would recommend if you are going to fish this style of plastic, pull the weedless hook straight out and put a jig head in. But they're kind of a bit stretchy, they're fairly durable. Fat Betty's definitely the best selling colour. It probably catches the most flatties as well, but that's the most cast colour as well. But we'll pass around one of the vibes as well. That's just that next size up. Something a little bit heavier, but yeah. And they're just a paddle tail. You just work them quite slowly. All your action on something like that, because it is quite stiff, the material that's made out of, your action's going to be on the rip or the jig. So you do have to work it a little bit quicker. It's not a real soft, like a Z-Man or an Elastec type material where it swims a lot on the way down. It will kind of just spiral down, just sink a bit lifeless, but they seem to like it, so.
So you're saying change that over to a jig head over from weedless?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
would you be angling that so the hook still?
Oh, no, proud.
So proud?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, and the good part about them is it's quite hollow in the middle. So when a flatty does eat it, or any fish eats it, it folds. So you do get a pretty good hook set out of it.
Hooks are very sharp.
Yeah.
Very sharp.
Yeah. But,
Okay.
yeah, the other one in pre-rig stuff's definitely the bite science one.
Yeah.
Have you got any small ones? Yeah.
So I've been using these again for a couple months since they come out. They are like out of all the pre-rig paddle tails I've ever had, they are the number one by far. They're heavy, they cast a mile. Even though they're heavy, they just work really well in shallow water that's only half a metre deep, or in 4 metres deep, doesn't matter. They work really well. There's only two colours available. The colour that is this colour here, which is a lot bigger for working in the deep water. I'll pass this around too. It's sold out in that one, but we've got another 20 or 50 packets coming. But that colour's a killer. That one there'll be really good in the deep, say around the big one coming in now, fishing say Kalinga or the Seaway or whatever, that sort of in that deeper water. Yeah.
In terms of actually bringing the soft plastic back, are you going to go through with
Yeah,
the
we will.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Do you want to do it as we're going through each?
I think as we go through
type.
each plastic,
Yeah,
we go
okay.
through how you'd work.
Okay,
it
so
out.
go back. We'll wind back to the vibes. So
Yeah.
you want to show yours technique? Stewie's technique's different to mine. Okay. We both catch fish though, so they both work.
So with the vibes, I throw it out as far as I can. Always. I like to maximise the time the lure's in the water. Not real good if you get weed on the end of the cast, but stuff that happens. All I do is, as I said before, like contact's a big thing. So I kind of wind up so it's tight, like firm, but not, you don't want to drag it, but you want to have contact. And I just kind of hop it. And then as it sinks, I wind up the slack.
That's
So
not
you've
mine,
got a little
actually.
bit of a feel. Yeah, pretty similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I keep it moving a bit, but it always does resort back to the bottom.
So I'll go back to what we were saying in a minute. But see, I cast one out, same deal, Stewie, long cast. Let it sinks very quick, take up the suck line. And I do two things. I'll either just do a little bit, if it's very shallow water, I just do one lift and a slow lift and then drop it straight away. And I'll take up the line as it goes along. You feel all the time a tink. But vibes are one of the jigs out of all the soft plastics that when you, or lures that soft plastics that when you lift up, you actually get a lot of strikes on the lift up. Because it's like on the way up and then on the way down it swings back down again. Where soft plastics, you can do the lift up and occasionally you get a tink, but it's generally on the fall you get the tink, the bite. So on the vibe you actually get it on the lift up a lot of time. Yeah, so when I'm in a bit deeper water, say around that 1.5 meters to 3 meters, so I'll do one lift, two lift, that's it. 1, 2, and wind it up. I wind straight away because to me it falls straight back down. I want to emulate little bait fish. He's going back down, he hits the bottom and he kicks straight back up again. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
So look there.
Stuck in your lines if it grabs it.
It's always tight. I'm constantly on the handle. When I'm using plastics, I'm not on the handle. It's the complete opposite. I'll show you later. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah. So that's vibes. When we go to say the those hollow belly type lures like the flat shad, with that one there, a little bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just like working a normal plastic as we'll go through, but probably a little bit slower if anything.
Yep.
Just slow it right down because it's going to sink fairly slow. You generally rig them on quite a light jig head, and the plastic that they're made out is quite buoyant, so it will sink rather slowly. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I tried these out. I haven't tried them before, but they're the shimmer shrimp with these things here. These are from Berkeley. They've had really success in the barra and the shimmer shads, and then they brought this fellow out mainly for barra as well as flathead. And the great thing is they do it right down to a little tiny size, that little vibe we had before. I tried the middle size recently when we went out with Stuart. It was about 2 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, it actually works
And
really
it worked
good.
really good. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
really good. I thought these were quite stiff. I'll take one out of the packet, but please don't get hooked in your finger. And it is extremely soft. It actually feels like the soft plastic. And I was quite shocked when I first took out the plastic. I thought, well, it's not stiff like I thought it was. It's very, very soft. The tail's very, very good. And the hooks are very, very sharp. They're owner hooks. The weight's perfect, and they kick butt. It worked really well. Okay. So I'll pass that around, and I'll pass around a couple of other sizes. So the bigger ones you can use in the deep, the smaller one you can use up in the flats. Be careful of the hooks, please, guys. I've got a pair of pliers here, don't forget one in there.
So the other thing as well, while we're on vibes, I don't know, Dougie, do you put S Factor or any scent on your vibe?
I do.
Yeah.
So how many people here use S Factor?
Makes a big difference.
So those of you
Like
who
massive
haven't,
difference.
you should be.
Yeah.
I'll just give you a bit of a point up on S Factor is that they have sold out Australia wide. We've got one box left downstairs, which will be gone probably tonight.
Yep.
But there's nothing available to the end of October. So if you're after S Factor, now's the night to buy it. The next group, sorry guys, we'll probably miss out.
Yeah. Look, there is other scents on the market.
Yeah, we
but-
got his other scents. We got Pro Cures. We got some new stuff coming from Spike, I think it's called.
Yeah, there's a bit of
But
everything.
everything else that's available, we've got. But
But S Factor's pretty good.
it's very good. It's the only one that doesn't smell, but it
Yeah.
works the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, I don't know. Jace, what's your favourite, mate?
Oh, yeah.
S Factor. That's right.
Can I just put 2 on order?
Sorry, mate. They put away for Stewie and me.
Did you actually get some?
Huh?
You didn't take any, did you?
I got. Just have,
need
just
some.
have an exhibit A
Yeah,
here.
that's right.
So this is S Factor.
Yeah.
Okay.
You put that on your lips.
Do you want to pass that one around too?
No. It won't make it back. It has no smell. I can smell my fingers in the plastic. It has no smell at all, so it's a good thing it doesn't smell. All you do, just to give you some idea, and especially on my vibes, I'm using a vibe, say, and like you don't have to put on vibes, they work that well, but
Yeah, I was going to say, I never put it on my vibes
Yeah,
because I reckon it contaminates all the ones in my box, but I
That's a good thing.
I like to just get them out and they're clean and you just put them on and they work, but
no, I don't really want to
this
use.
works pretty good.
I'm scared to use this tonight because I really need this dab for the next plastic, but so I put a little bit, I know you can't see it down the back, but that much on my finger, okay? It's like a little, probably
It's
about
like half a pea.
half a pea if that.
Yeah.
And then I just wipe it on one side and then I wipe it on the other side and then I just sort of smear it along and over the top.
And then you
underneath.
just wipe it on your shorts at the end of it. And
That's it.
Great, yeah.
And I put it on the, around the hook, but I never put it on the tail because I don't want them to bite the tail because I'm going to miss the fish generally, right? I want it to bite where the hooks are. So that's why I put it around the hook area. And on a jig head, I might put it even around the head a little bit, but I want it to be in the hook region. And that's enough. And that'll last me about, if the fish are on thick, I won't do it. I won't put another swipe on for probably at least 20 casts. If the fish are a bit quiet, I might do it every sort of 4 or 5 or 6 casts.
Have you got 2 clips on that vibe?
No, it's just
no.
a really big one.
No, it is. It's a size 2. I should have a size 1, but I kick butt on it, so it doesn't matter. So it works fine. Yep, so that's it. But get back to S Factor, Factor's to go. But we got Pro Cure. Pro Cure scents are probably our second biggest seller. In those, what's your favourite, Stu?
Probably shrimp. Yeah, they do a few different flavours in the Pro Cure stuff. S Factor's just S Factor. But yeah, shrimp or like a crab one works quite good. Mullet, yeah.
There's one called Butt Juice. Stu might be that one, but sorry, Stu. So anyhow, that's the thing about that. Okay, we'll start now probably at little lures and work our way up to bigger lures. And actually, or do you want to do it by type, like
I
by
think
prawns?
type.
By prawns,
Type's
probably better. Yeah.
Yeah. So prawn and creature stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. With
We'll
heaps of legs.
Yep. So I'll do creature stuff first, I think.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So like I've got one rigged there. We've been catching a lot of fish on that style. I'll pass around. Have you got a pair of scissors, Doug? Right there.
Yep.
I'll just pass around this. This is one rigged on a football head, but we've been using these pretty good. They work. The colour-wise, look, I like that pinky type colour, but whites work really good. It depends on what's in the area. Like there's no point in using that if there's a school. Yeah, there's no point in using a pattern like that if there's just schooling bait everywhere. Like if you rock up to a bank and it's covered in white bait, they're not going to be interested in eating a crabby looking thing crawling along the bottom. But if you pull up to a bank and there might be a tiny bit of bait, but you know that there's weed and stuff, so there might be some crabs or prawns around, then you're going to use that type of thing.
I used one of these the other day. This is a new one from Jackson. We do use this type before, and the old Berkeley Hawg, which is a really popular lure for flathead back in the day, was a great lure. And the Jackson is probably the closest thing to a hawg that I've seen. H-A-W-G is spelt. And I used one the other day, and I got a lot of fish on it. I got the biggest fish for the day between me and Stewie.
I caught the most.
Yeah. I think it was 12 each.
By
but
about
anyhow,
3.
we won't go there, Stu.
No.
Yeah. Anyhow, but today I went out for a really quick fish before work, just for 40 minutes, not even an hour, and I got a 73, 74, and again it was on the double tail hawg style again, that exact lure but a different colour. So they do work really well. And I had other plastics and other things I was using as well, but that one did really well.
Yeah. While we're talking about things with legs like that type of pattern, like that type of bait, you never ever see a crab or a prawn. Prawns are the exception because obviously they do go fast, but they're always going backwards. And all this stuff, you put the jig head generally in the front end, so they're crawling forwards. That one the exception. But you don't have to work them really fast. You see guys working them really fast and really hard, but I've never seen a crab scooting around at a rate of knots. They're always just milling around the bottom, and a little prawn's the same. When it's travelling forwards, there is no action.
I did some research on it, Stu.
Yeah.
And the research was that because it's going forward, I think it's a bit of a unusual good problem, so they just nail it. And it works. It works really well.
Sounds like a Doug theory.
Yeah.
But there's a few other ones, like Jackson do another prawn. Obviously gulp shrimps are one of the better ones as well. But anything with legs, I work very slowly. I'll let the legs do the action.
So you don't hop it, you just roll it?
I roll it a bit, but I do hop it, but it's a light hop. It's more of a rattle. But yeah, you kind of rattle the rod instead of working the rod.
You're trying to go almost along the sea floor rather than up.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so the hawg with the twin tail on it, when you actually get the tail's face in, but when you actually you do lift up, and then when you start winding it, I rather than let it fall and let it sit there, I actually do a bit of a wind for maybe a metre and a metre and a half straight after I do the lifting. And when it's close to the boat, you see it. The tail's actually spread out, and they're like a little frog, you know, like that style. Even though there's no frogs underwater, but it's that sort of twin tail effect.
That's what I often try to do. Is
Looks beautiful.
Chuck it in the pool and see how it goes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And to see what the action is, and then I try to imagine what the lure is doing.
Yeah. So
Sometimes it works.
good call. So my suggestion is, guys, you practice at if you've got a pool at home, great thing. But otherwise, next to the boat, before you put the S factor on, drop it in the water and see what it's like. Then put the S factor on, cast it out. Okay. You don't want to waste that S factor smell.
No, that's right.
Especially at the moment. So getting to the shrimps now, Stewie. So shrimps or prawns are been the go-to forever, and the gulp shrimp has probably been my my number one. I always said if I had to survive on Earth, it'd be with the gulp shrimp. Now I do have other alternative
food sources.
Yeah, food sources that work really well. But the gulp shrimp's still right up there, especially with a football jig head. So that 3-inch pearl white on a 3/8 pink football jig head is like a money back guarantee.
Yeah. It's amazing how it has evolved. Like I reckon actually even 3 years ago, you were still using ½ ounce on those things.
I was using ½ ounce up to 2 years ago.
Yeah, so ½ ounce, and we were fishing ½ ounce in like under a metre of water. It didn't matter if it was a metre or 6 metres, it was ½ ounce. But on those little shrimps going around. But now, since going lighter and lighter and lighter, it's just opened up a whole another way of fishing.
That's right. So when I'm fishing, like one of the lures I really like to use in the seaway in the wall is this fellow here. It's my go-to. I class it as like the number one lure to use over there. I also use it around Millionaire's Row, and I learned around along Kalinga Bank as well. This is a Berkeley Power Shad shrimp. That fellow there, that Houdini colour is the colour. All the other colours work, but this thing works really good. And I'd run that on, let's see if I got a jig head here big enough. I'll just rig it up and pass it around.
Have you got one, Dobby?
So, I think I've got one here, mate.
Look at this, the fish are on.
Okay, here we go. So, sorry, Stu, already done it. No, too small.
Mine are very neat. Dougie's has got a bit of everything going on.
Right, I've got to tell you a story.
There's a good story behind it.
If you can see how much is in there, like there's about, I don't know, 500 pieces in there maybe, or 400 pieces, I don't know, it's a lot, including about 150 jig heads. I was at Stewie's the other day and I carried all my stuff out of the car, I put it on top of my car, I lifted the back of the car up, put it on top of the car, I lifted the back of the tailgate up, put everything in the back, I was running late as always am, and I jumped in the car and went onto Bayview Street, and as I went around the corner, I hear this crash, bang, smash, I thought, what's that? That was a revision mirror, and it was like a Christmas tree on top of the road, right across from one lane to the other. And I thought, oh my God, and I had all my there's like lots of money in hard bodies in here, probably $500 of hard bodies in here, all the way across here. And so they're all on the road, I thought, and there's cars coming. So I just pulled up the side of the road and I just ran across and bent down like some crazy person in the middle of the road, and the first car stopped, the second car stopped, and then by the time I made sure I picked everything, and I had hooks hanging out of me from the trebles, and I'm ripping through, the bar went in, I just ripped it out. I haven't got time, they hang off my hand everywhere. Threw them all in there, and I looked back and the cars were from Columbus Drive to over the bridge to Paradise Point nearly. And I jumped back in my car and drove off.
Should have the super glue on you.
Yeah, I know.
Right, yeah.
That was the only thing I was missing. But up on when I'm fishing, say, the wall or areas that are fairly shallow, and I use this on tank bank, I get a lot of big flatties on tank bank with this rather than using a hard body on this particular prawn. And I use like a 4.0 or 5.0, very, very light, that's 1/8. And it just works like the guns. These are very heavy, okay? So the weight is not in the jig head, it's in the lure.
Yeah. But the beauty about it is they're quite a slow sink because the plastic's quite buoyant. All the other power baits sink.
These are my glasses, I find my glasses. Sorry, mate.
Most of the other power baits sink, but these ones actually float.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, new plastic, I don't know, but...
Heavy but float. Sorry.
Not too big to fish on flats.
No.
Not at all.
No, not at all.
They work really well. Really well. Now these fuse jig heads are an absolute bomb. They just work so well. The problem is that we can't get them anymore, unfortunately, but it's a bit scary if I start off a bit scary with there. You have my glasses on at start. Okay, give me another minute, guys. Take two.
So what makes you decide to whack a shrimp on versus...
Because it's probably the most popular bait besides bait fish in the water. So it just works really, really well. Yeah, so that's it.
It's just a bit of a, I don't know, it's proven. Year in, year out, it's probably our biggest seller in pattern-wise, and it works the best.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think
But-
everything needs a prawn, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And or a mullet.
Yeah.
That's typically what I go for, but, you know, if you've got 60 packets of soft plastics, how do you decide what you go for?
Yeah, I know, it's a hard one, especially for us. But the Xeric live shrimp, which they do, which is normally pre-rigged, they now do them unpre-rigged. They are expensive, but they are very, very good. And the colour range obviously is extremely good. Very similar to that style there, but the tail's even more articulated and better. They work really well as well. I'll pass that around, but they work out like $23 for two, you know, they're expensive.
Don't chuck them into mangroves.
No, no.
Well, it's not a bad option, but yeah.
You probably go and get that one.
Yeah, that's right.
So that Berkeley shrimp coming around is an absolute really, really good one. The other thing that's really good, fishing in the deep and up on the flats and everywhere, and it looks massive, but the 4-inch gulp shrimp, which is the bigger version of the white one I showed you earlier, it is an absolute go-to as well. That model in various colours works really good at Millionaire's Road. So we'll go through all the spots where they are a bit later, okay? So you'll hear the terminology now, but I'll show you where it is later. Keep going on the shrimp.
Yeah, so the only other shrimp, there's little Storm Coastal shrimps. They work all right as well. Not a lot of action, but they work all right. And then the Z-Man shrimps. Z-Man shrimps probably been probably the number one Z-Man plastic in the last year. But they just work really good. They're very durable. They do flick a little bit in the tail, but they're very subtle action. Like you don't want to rip them, you kind of want to rattle the rod or jig the slack a lot with a shrimp.
Actually, Stu, do you want to show us your action on the shrimp? Show me your action on that.
Depends on which one, but like I'd throw it out.
Show us the fantail shrimp action.
Mate, that's a Dougie fan
Saving the
shrimp.
best for last. Yes.
That's right. But I always throw it out to like a hole in the weed or over the weed. I'll throw it over the weed, doesn't matter. If you run in a light jig head with a shrimp pattern, you can generally crawl it over the weed, like without getting hung up too much. If I'm going to do that, I'm just going to like really slightly jig the rod tip and very slowly wind, and every now and then I'll stop. So I'll try to stop where I think it's going to fall into a bit of a sandy area rather than into thick weed. And then if it's like a gulp shrimp or whatever, I'll work it a bit harder because it's got no action. But anything with the legs, I'd more crawl it a little bit and then stop and then crawl it a little bit and then stop. Yeah. Yeah.
That's your
It's pretty-
action?
yeah.
And have been fishing in, say, 3 metres of water or 2 metres, 2.5, 3 metres.
It'd be about the same, really. I'd probably hop it just a little bit harder.
Mm.
Yeah, just so it kind of travels up a little bit more. But
Yep.
yeah,
And that's using the football jigget?
Yep.
Yep.
yeah, yeah. Generally with the shrimp, I do use a football head, only because it's not. You don't want it to dart. You want it to crawl around. Yeah.
So I'll show you my action, a little bit different. So depending on what rod I'm using, light or heavy, doesn't really matter, the action's similar. But I'll cast mine out, and we'll talk about casting positions last, okay, and then before we do the map. And it's important to know which way your lure's going to come back to the boat. So you got to maximise to get your cast spot on, and a lot of guys don't realise they just throw out that way, but that's not the right way most of the time. You got to learn which way to throw. And so what I do is I'll cast it out. I watch my line. Your line from your rod to your line that's in the water, your lure, it meets. So when it meets, that means you just hit the bottom. Okay, at that point there, you should take up your slack, rod tip down a little bit. I normally go quite aggressive. I'll do 1, 2, 3 up, and I'll drop back down. This year, they don't know about aggressive. They're very into petite type jigging. Okay, you'll see guys still doing fast out there, and they'll still get fish, but I think the petite way is a lot more action. So I'm just doing like a little lift like that. Then I'll hold it up a bit. On the last one, I might do 3 or 4, and then I'll drop it back down again, and take up the slack.
Do you think that's because you're using smaller lures?
No, that's I'm using like that big one going around too, mate. Yeah. So it doesn't matter if I'm using small or big. I'm finding this year, for me, that's been the go. How about you, Jace? You noticed anything different this year?
Yeah, they're really,
Jace is a good fisherman too, by the way, guys.
I used to get a lot, like I fish a lot different to you, Dougie.
Yeah.
Obviously I fish a lot of jerk shads, but
Yeah.
if the situation's still the same. Like we used to hop it pretty aggressively and sit on the bottom.
Yeah.
Now it's like fishing for bread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a small lift.
That's
sit on
right.
the bottom. You can let it sit on the bottom.
100%.
Have a drink of water, and then you'll feel the thump on your line.
Yeah.
Set the hook.
Yeah.
I just picked it up off the bottom now.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because there's been a lot of whitebait this year and the fish are smaller. I think that's one of the reasons. I've never seen so much whitebait in the broadwater or pin in my life. I've been here 50-something years.
And smaller. Smaller lures. This time
Yeah,
of year, small.
small. That's
Small compared to the big 5 and
Yeah.
a lot of guys used to fish Seaway and Kalinga Bank and the whole lot. Come along with the big. Remember back in the day, you fished 7, 8 inch
Yeah.
tails on an
Yeah,
ounce.
that's right. Yeah, that's right.
And you catch big
Yeah.
flathead, but you eliminate those 45s to
Yeah.
55s. But now you fish small bait and
You
they'll
still,
catch everything.
you still catch 90s.
Yeah, you still you
That's
do.
right.
Yeah.
So technically, cast it out, watch it sink down, one up slack, and just 1, 2, 3, and then maybe just hop it a couple of times on the top before you drop it back down, and then just take up slack and do the same again. Okay, and just hop it a bit on that last one, maybe 3 or 4 times before you drop it down. Don't go too crazy over the top of your head, because when you go to strike, you'll be high sticking and probably break your rod. So be careful on that. But if you sort of lift it from about that angle, when you first start to maybe that angle, that's a good area. So 1, 2, and then drop it back down. But you're doing it that slow. Okay? If you've got time to talk to your mate while you're doing it, and next minute you feel it, take it. The reason why I do a lot of the hopping and the hopping at the end part is because when I'm doing that last bit of the hopping, you're giving it time to actually become loose in the fall, like it hasn't fallen to the bottom, but it's actually loose in the air, and a lot of time they'll grab it. So a lot of time I'm doing that, next minute I get ripped out of my hands. But if I do the dunk 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 up, I don't have time for it to do that. I've dropped it straight back down, and it's sometimes you hit on the fall, or you go to lift like Jay said, and it's on there, you know. But if you do the little bit lifting in the air, I tend to feel I get a lot more fish doing that way. That's just me. Yep.
Stop winding at that point?
You don't no winding at all. And actually, I do mine a bit different. If I had a reel here with no line, I'd show you.
Here you go.
Is there one there? I just happen to have Exhibit A. Here we go. So there's a Stewie's rod. I won't hit the roof. But I cast it out. I watch it. It's hit the bottom, and then I might just take a little bit of slack. But normally it's tight. People ask, do you leave the bar arm open or leave it closed when you're sinking? It depends on how much time you want it to hit the bottom and where you want it to hit the bottom. So if I've done a cast, I've just reached that bit of clump of weed that's 30 metres away and it's only in half a metre deep or a metre deep, I'm going to leave the bar arm open, even though it's only sinking half a metre, because I don't want to pull it back away from the weed too far. But if I'm overshot it, I'm going to straight away turn the bar arm over and while it's sinking, you know. Yeah, so it all depends on what you're casting at, and also same with when you're, if you cast out the current's ripping, you want it to get down as quick as it can. It'll sink faster in current and wind with the bar arm open than it will with the bar arm closed. So you want to get the bottom as quick as you can, or it's going to go past you too quick. So there's a lot of things that come into the aspect of which way, how you do that. So anyway, let's hit the bottom, take it slack, 1, 2, 3, up, I might do that last bit there. But what I do is, when I do that 1, 2, 3 like that, I'll then go like that and let it take up the slack. I don't hold the handle. Why do I do that? If you put it in a pool, and that's too last over here, but I get a lot of fish that way. But it's just the khaki part is, it's a fish that you get trying to grab the handle, it's spinning in the air somewhere. So sometimes you're like a bit weirdo trying to grab the handle because it's spinning around. But the thing is, if you put it in the pool, what happens is you see yourself lift it, then when you spin the handle, it actually shoots it away like that. And they get really aggressive and they smack it. That's why I do it. Try it, please. It's called the Dougie technique. Yeah.
I still think it's pretty backwards, but it works a bit, so it's all right.
Stewie's always in touch with everything.
I just hold the handle. Yeah.
Anyhow, so that's the shrimp
Yep.
pattern. Any questions on the shrimp patterns? Okay, we're going to go now to paddle tail. So paddle tail is probably the more popular than shrimp. It's like everyone uses paddle tail. There's a million different brands and types and styles in paddle tail. Some have articulated joint in the middle. Some have a long skinny tail like, what's the brand downstairs? We've got the ones that break easy. They're very good.
Kitech.
Kitechs have quite a long skinny tail. There might be some here actually.
No, not a good ad. The ones that break easy, but they're very soft.
They're very soft. They break easy when the fish is attached. They catch a lot of fish, but you sacrifice a bit for them.
So we'll just go digging in here.
Yeah, this is one of the new Bite Science ones. This one's actually going to kill, I reckon, this year. I haven't tried it yet in the deep, but it will be. Good colour, good action, and good everything. And good smell. These things have got good scent on them as well. No longer ones, 4-inch. You get one there, don't you?
No, there's none in there.
In there? Okay, doesn't matter. Oh, thanks, Stuart. Nice one.
I was going to ask what's the best way to store them, but
Yeah.
Not this way.
Well, normally they're straight. Now they've got their bent tails because Stewie's just disrupted my camp, but that's all right. But yeah, that's the next size down in that one there. Again, good, really good action. Thanks, mate.
They got UV in them?
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
a lot of the good stuff does have a UV aspect to it. The other good thing about painted jig heads, they're all UV. So
Just watch the hook, but that's the.
you can,
that's the sorry, mate. I do, even though it's centre, I put on everything, mate.
football jiggers lay UV off.
Yep.
Or they, yeah, they are.
yeah, mega.
Colours UV.
Yeah, we'll turn the light off a bit later, get the UV torch and just hold up a couple and show you. Yeah. So getting back to the paddle tail. So Stewie and I have our favourite paddle tails. And for me, it's the one that's in your bag. It's called the Doctor, and it's on my rod here. Comes in a variety of colours. That thing there. It just works like you would not believe. It's an absolute killer. I don't know, Stewie uses it too, you know how good it is.
Yeah, the Doctor's really good.
Has anyone used this yet at all? The Fuse Doctor? You guys, that's why you're probably not catching much. They are really good. So it's a killer. So the jig head I like to run that on like a 1/6 or a 1/4 in a 2/0. Okay, it's my favourite jig head to run on that plastic. It comes in heaps of different colours. The other one I like to use, so we're keeping that brand in the paddle tail. We've got a video here to show a bit later on, which is the little fin bait. Again, Stewie knows how good they are. They're really good as well. That's the fin bait. They work really well. I'll pass this couple around so you know what I'm talking about.
I reckon with that more pronounced style of action at the moment, because of the amount of life down a little way for this area.
I think so, 100%. That's why we do it. We had to change. We had to change our technique. Last year was similar too, but this year's a lot more.
Yeah.
And we changed to suit, and it definitely works here. Yeah. Stewie, one of Stewie's favourites.
Yeah, so I've been using these Storm Toc Minnows a lot this year. They look really good. They're printed, so they look very lifelike.
They're
But
very buoyant. They sit up.
these are probably the best two colours I've passed. One's loose, one's in the packet, but they just work really good. They are pretty soft, but you get a fair few fish out of one before you have to change it. But then with like a small one of those little Ned Locks heads that were going around first, they're really good. Yeah, it's a very small hook, but I seem to just inhale it most of the time. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
You find those networks that are the bright orange ones, right? This sort of place.
yeah.
Right up.
Having that bright with like a mullet colour though, is that ever an issue? Having sort of a bright with dark?
Not at all.
No,
No, it could
no,
be
like
white,
you'll see the colour
pink,
of these things. Yeah,
black, doesn't matter. It works fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They're really good.
lifelike.
Yeah.
So other plastics in the paddle tail, you all know Bait Junkie ones, which are from Daiwa. They have that articulated middle joint, which gives it a bit more action in the tail. I don't mind this model here, which is a minnow in a 3-inch. Their 3 inches are massive 3-inch. It's like a 4-inch in most other brands.
Yeah.
It's really good. They do the shad style. So the shad style is really popular. It's an old school style, but it works still very well. Okay, so shad tails are really good in the deep as well. I'll pass those two around as well. You get up to the biggest size. So this biggest size here in the fuse is one that we'd use in the deep water, as well as on the flat slow winding. So slow winding it like a minnow, and that one works really well as well. A lot of action in the tail. It's centered as well. And they just work really well as well.
Why are you going for bigger lures?
I think it's just
the flathead. Well, the flathead's schooled up are bigger. The bait fish in there is bigger.
A, they're there to
Yeah.
spawn, so they're hungry.
Yeah.
And B, I think it's more of a body down there. It's more of a presence. Yeah.
Thank you.
So there's a lot of dead water in between them in the deep. Like you find that there's a patch of them, and then you might find the other patch way over there. But you've got to drift through all that section, whereas they can see a big lure from a bit more of a distance, I believe. Yeah.
So deep water, you classify in what, 3 meters?
Yeah, 3 meters to 15 meters.
Yeah.
Yep. Which is around that entrance area of the seaway or jumping pin area, you know. Yep. And then you can go right up to like up to this sort of size, which is like that's a 6-inch in a nemesis. Again, really good in the deep water. The tail action actually strings out quite long. That's a lot bigger than 6 inches, and that's how the shape is when it falls, or when you lift up and it falls back down again. It goes quite long like that, and the tail's very ribbon-like. Okay, white's a great colour in any deep water situation. White's really good.
How do you find the tail? You chewed up on that?
Oh, they get chewed up. The tail love them. Yeah, we love the tailor.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
No, the tailor, unfortunately, they're everywhere this year because there's so much white bait. There's so many tailor. Okay, if you go out flathead fish at the moment, jumping pin, seaway, well, not so much seaway, but definitely up around Crab Island, you'd have to get at least 2 or 3 tailor for the morning, plus about 2 or 3 lures bitten off. It's just the way it is. They're everywhere. But there's flatties in amongst them.
Yeah.
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 Stu, these ones here, we
Yeah.
haven't tried these yet, but
New Jackson ones.
Yeah.
These are good. I'll pass these around. They've got heaps of like grooves in them, so it's heaps of heaps of area to trowel that S factor in. But yeah.
Yeah.
Dougie puts that much S factor on his soft plastics as bait, pretty much. Yeah.
Barely
Trowel
try.
it on.
Barely try.
Yeah.
So that's that bait science that I passed around a loose before.
Yeah.
So you just slow winding that?
Still
No,
working
did the
it.
look up,
Yeah.
and then but if you on the shallower flats, I tend to do a little bit of a wind sometimes after. So I'll just switch it just a little bit, a little bit. So don't lift it up so much with my elbow, I lift my wrist. So guys, please remember that when you're fishing in shallow water, it's important to use your wrist more than your elbow. Your elbow lifts it up quite high. Your wrist can't lift as high as your elbow. So you just sort of work it more finesse, and then you might just then do a couple of winds just to pull it along a little bit. If there's any flatties, I'll come over and have a look or grab it, you know. You definitely get, we've been noticing this year, something we didn't want to say too much about tonight, but it definitely is working better, guys. I don't normally wind when I let my plastic fall. This year I have been, and it definitely works. Yeah. We call it the Barnsley technique.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can't see everything.
Yeah, that's right. Here we call it a stig. Stewie, one of your favourites, mate.
Yeah, Z-Man minnows this year have been really good. 3-inch, no need to go a 4-inch one. Colour-wise, like that's actually not a bad colour going around. I know it doesn't look very impressive, but it works.
It doesn't matter which colour Z-Man 3-inch minnow we grabbed this year, it's worked.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
they all work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're just very durable as well.
The thing with Z-Man is they have no smell. You have to I know they still work without the S factor,
Yeah,
but they do work heaps better with the S factor. Heaps better. Okay.
Very soft.
very
Very
soft.
soft, but they don't break.
Yeah.
Like they're a 20 fish lure,
Yep.
unless it gets bitten off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, very.
You just got to use those jig
Yeah.
heads with the keeper off them.
Best thing to do is, if you want to get, I don't do it, and Stu doesn't do it, but we've got customers, some customers do it, I won't name the names, but what they do is they quickly measure up next to the jig head, they take a little red pen out, they put a little red dot on the top where you should poke it out. And it's not a bad idea. So in the centre, red dot, and that's where your hook's going to come out.
Yeah.
The trouble with Z-Man is internally they have like a chamber, and it gets caught on the
Yeah.
skins on the inside, then it sort of sucks it in as you look at it, it's like bent like that.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one.
They've all
But
got
you-
scoliosis at the end of the rigging session, but there's curvature of the spine that works right.
Yeah. There they are. So any questions on the paddle tails, folks? At all? All good?
Yeah.
Okay, and the last one, there's one more after the last one, but the last one is like the worm style, the traditional worm
Like curl
type
tail.
curl tail, exactly right. And one of our biggest sellers by far, and I actually come second in the Flatted Classic quite a few years ago, on these lures, on the 5-inch one. There's one here somewhere. This one here. So it's a fat grub in the crawdad. So that along Clingan Bank is like a killer. Okay. And on a football jig head, and on a 1/2 ounce and about a 3/0 or 4/0. So I'll pass that around. The little brother to it, the 3-inch one, works really well in the flats. It's just the colour that most years this seems to work. It's a crappy looking colour. It's called crawdad, but it works really well. Same action. Okay.
Yeah, so pretty slow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now they go right up to the one down the floor there from Stewie, next to Stewie. This is what Stewie uses off that light rod of his. So that's a Stewie size. But you could actually catch flat on that in the deep, believe it or not. But you want a fairly heavy rod to cast. It's on a 2-ounce jig head, or 3 ounce maybe. But we won't use that tonight.
No.
So this is what I'm going to use. This is a plastic from Gulp, which has been extremely good. It's a 6-inch grub, or the 5, 6, and 7-inch grub are all really good. This is the Captain America colour. They call it Grub America, but that's because it's American colours. It's a really good one. Thank you. And I did have this one here. This would be my go-to. These are only new, so they now do it in a glow colour. And glow is like UV to the max. You just hit UV torch on it, just like charges up straight away. I didn't bring the torch up there, Stu.
No, the good thing
Oh,
about
I've got one here.
glow gulps as well, they actually glow blue. They don't glow green like a normal glow. So
And blue's
all the
the
gulps
best
are the same. If it glows blue. But they're a really good plastic. It's the only plastic that you don't have to add a scent with. They're made out of a cornstarch-based material, so they're like a sponge. They absorb all the scent and they just constantly disperse it the whole time. And they're biodegradable and all that stuff too, so they're...
I think it's glass. But that colour is really good to do in water, or in the deep water. Now, in the deeper water, like flathead, as you know, that their eyes are on top of their head, they don't look very good that way. They look that way. So when you do some casts, you go to lift it first go and it's already flathead on there because you donked him on the head or next to him on the head and he just grabbed it. They don't do much swimming over to a product, over to a lure. But when you're fishing in the deep, because it's so big, they visually do see. It's one of the times they do. I've seen many times they swim over to the lure. When you're using a hard body up in the flats and you watch the flathead, they'll chase after it, but your hard body's above the bottom, so they can see it because their eyes are above their head, right? So you really need to be very close to their head when you're casting, particularly on the flats and stuff like that. So, but the bigger one going around now is one of the only lures that they'll actually see it next to them in deep water. Yeah, because they're so big. I think that's about probably in the grub tails. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
And the last lure I want to show you, not that one. This, where is it going?
Jerk shad style?
No, this one here. Okay, so Berkeley brought out obviously the gulp shrimp going around, which is really good. Then they brought out that power bait shrimp, which is the one with the little jig head and the one that's loose with the big wings on the side of it, which I love. And then they brought out the fantail shrimp. Now the fantail shrimp has nothing on the head, it's just the body, but it's a flatter body. It's very, very soft and very, very good action. I hit the mark pretty quick on these because I got a sample packet earlier today, took it out with my wife and we got 11 from 13 casts, 11 fish in 13 casts I got. I thought this is the greatest thing. I even told my friend here to come in like that afternoon. Yeah, that's right. So I'll give you money back guarantee, mate. These are the killer. Anyhow, I haven't caught many fish on it since. I don't know why. It might have been the day. I don't know. But I'm going to make it work again, don't worry. But anyhow, that's another lure. I'll pass that around too. The action on them is extremely good. It's really good in really shallow water, like under 1.5 meters, say.
Just a quick one on the whole theory of bright colours, dark colours. Is that all bunkum or what's your experience?
I don't know, it's a hard one. Like if you look at any person's tackle box, they've always got a bright pink lure in and they say it's a perfect one for a flathead, but they still fish on overcast days. So I don't know. I think it makes a bit of a difference, but not a great deal.
I think it's really important that you match the bait that's in the water. So if it's a bait fish, there's a lot of bait fish around, I'd be using like a clear grey or a molting colour or anything sort of white bait colour.
Yeah. So when do you see the school of
pink
lures?
lures? Yeah.
It's a hard one.
Yeah.
But
I think the pink maybe, I don't know how they see it, but it might emulate some fish that have been hit, have a bit of redness on the scales maybe.
yeah. See, that's the thing. We don't know what they see. We know what we see, but what do they see? Wouldn't have a clue. Yeah.
It's interesting. I find I use a bright colour when there's not much around, because then my theory is, well, even if they don't normally pink, I'll sort of see something that's different to what's around them.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got mullet, I tend to go a slightly different size if I can too.
Yeah.
Because one of 10,000 mullet.
It's a dime a dozen, that's right, yeah.
But it's still the same. I still go the same colour then, so at least it's not out of the ordinary.
The one thing about flatties though is when they feed, they just keep guzzling it in. You bring them up and they'll spit out white bait and spit out white bait, as most fish do. They definitely do have a bite time too and that sort of stuff as well, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so anything on the lures, guys? That's about it on the lures we'll show you tonight.
So the jerk shades you don't use?
Jerk shad. Oh, sorry, I didn't do jerk shads. I didn't bring any up. I don't use them much, no. I don't. But you do use them a bit? No, good. Like jerk shads, the one that we do sell quite a few of is the 4-inch in the Gulp, in the minnow, 4-inch minnow in the silver mud, I think it's called, or the white one. They're fairly popular. Chartreuse white's not too bad, but that's probably about it. But they have a purpose. They definitely do work well in these little baits that are around at the moment. But I would be using a lot of other ones before I use those. Yeah. That's just me, yeah. Particularly the shads, little shads, still, or shrimp.
Yeah. The thing with the jerk shad is you got to work it a lot harder. It's got no action.
Mm.
So all this other stuff that we've said, it's all got action inbuilt. So it will swim or it'll dart or the tail might go or whatever. With a jerk shad, you have to move the rod to move it. Like if you just straight wind a jerk shad, it just tracks. Yeah.
I'm just going to pass around one thing quickly, which is just something I'll let on to you guys, but it took me a few years. I kept it secret for a few years, but I'll share it with you guys tonight. It's an advantage to everyone. Sorry guys, just give me a minute.
Organised
He
tackle
needs
box.
to, trust me. He needs to.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll just use one of these. So what I did a few years ago, I added some assist hooks to the front of my jig, right? And Stuart tells us the same as when Stuart uses his vibes, he likes to use assist at times.
At times.
At times, yeah.
The only bad thing while we're going on assist is if there's any weed, take them straight off.
Yeah.
Like it's just too hard. They just get all the little bits of snot weed in the water just catches on them and it's just horrible. But if there's no snot weed and stuff like that around, they're really good.
So years ago, the one we used to sell was Dancing Jacks. Okay, this one here. I'll pass around these two to show you how they rig up. I'll put one in the packet here so you can pass that around now. And the other one we sell now is this fellow here with the Shinto, which are BKK hooks. They're really sharp. They're really good. Oops, as sharp as everyone's my finger now. So what you do, folks, is you actually put it, I don't know if this one here is going to go over that lead. I think it will. Oh, it's too big on this one. I need a little small one. Okay, what you do is you put on the assist hook before you put on the plastic, right? And then slide it above the weight there. I have never lost a fish. I've never even had it pull down to the bottom. It's always been stuck there where it is there. Put on your plastic, whatever it may be. A bit brighter one on. And it sits just in that position there. Now, when you get a hit, you never miss. Never miss. And a lot of time it's lip hooked. Okay? The only thing you got to watch out is if you're going to have flathead shake and do the boogie on the deck, and if it's in that one there, these ones get caught in your hand sometimes. Been there. Not worth it. But you definitely get nearly a 99% hookup rate. Okay? So it's something different and not many people do it or know about it yet, but it works really well. The other one you can do, that other one I had here, which is this fella here, what you do is you can do two things. You can run a tiny split ring like a size 3 or a 2, which is very small, off the top of your lure here or off even on your clip if you use the clip style. And then that one attaches to the ring and hangs again at the front. These are very small. Actually, I'll pass these around. I didn't bring any rings. So I'm looking for rings here, but I can't find one, sorry.
Here you go.
You got a ring on there? Oh, you could do it, actually, maybe do it there. Those fast attach clips that you got in your bag, guys, I've only been using those for about 2 years. I used them years ago for trialing for my kids because it was easy to change lures. They get bored quick. And then, sorry, I'm cutting off all Stewie's rigs at the moment. I then started using them last year in a FLATHEAD Classic and then used them after Classic. And this year I've been using them in all the lead up to it. And I don't see any difference between doing a loop knot and using that in my fish bites. and it's just really easy and quick to change all the time. As Stewie's saying, you get super glue jobs, you just rig on it straight away, cast out, hook it on. It's very, very quick.
You've never lost a fish because of the, I mean,
Never, no.
rating or anything?
Never, mate, no.
And would you do a loop knot to that? Or would you
No, tie directly.
tie straight on.
Uni knot straight to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
uni knot straight to it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Never bends out. Well, you can't really bend out a 20-pound. If you're using a 20-pound braid, I still don't think you could bend it out.
Even on the big ones on the flats?
But when you use the assist hooks, put more of that S factor on the head. Okay. But it works really well. Just give it a shot if you've got some little assist hooks at home. Sugar pens and stuff like that. Yeah, that's right. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
I even tried putting a spinnerbait skirt over the top of my plastics and caught fish on that as well, like snapper style, you know. But it gets a bit in the way, and it seemed to knock the weed from hooking up as a lot better. It's sort of like a shroud against the weed, but it's a bit harder for the fish. They grab it and sort of pull on it, but they don't hook up as good. So I abandoned that technique. So we're always trying to think outside the circle, everyone else does.
You like a skirt sitting over it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So it's good for not getting weed, but it doesn't hook up as good on the fish.
Yeah.
They love it though.
Sticks in the eyes.
Yeah, the orange one was really good.
Yeah.
So any questions on that all, folks? Something different? Okay, good. Okay, we're just going to get Jason for 5 minutes to talk about the FLATHEAD Classic, then I'll quickly show you on the map where to go and how to do it, and then we're done for the night, okay?
You want me to go after? I can go after.
Oh, you go after, is that all right?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
Can I just
So-
say one thing while
Yeah.
gentleman asked about loop knot? I
Yep.
hate loop knots. I don't tie loop knots on any plastic or anything, or any hard body, only because when you're jigging, it's the loop in the eye of the hook fatigues the loop, it flattens out after a bit, and then it breaks.
Yeah, I've always
Yeah.
done uni knots and I know that stops the action, so I
Yeah.
learned to,
I love
Yeah.
loop knots.
Yeah.
It both works. Both ways work.
Yeah.
I usually double nail knot put together because it's super thin and
Yeah.
they butt up against each other and they can only twice as.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their thing.
Yeah, yeah, but I just think that slack tied on there, like at the end of the day, I've never lost a fish because of it, but I've cast lures off because of it.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's the skirt things that we're using over the top of our lures, like that style. So as I said, really gets them going, they love it. But the hookup rate's not as good because I think they're trying to grab this stuff and not the hook. It's too far away from it, the hook. It just slides straight over the top and sits above the jig head. But
I want to
It'd
grab
be
that.
all right if you had
yeah,
it was a bigger bait.
a bigger bait might be better. Yeah, I haven't tried a big bait yet.
Stick or something.
Good call, like
Yeah.
you gotta go. Just to show you UV, I don't know if you want to, can you guys see that out from down the back there, how bright that is? Can you see that? Yeah, so that's UV versus not UV. Well, it doesn't change much, right? And if you've got one of Stewie's jig heads here, or the box there. Oop, sorry, I'll try and hold it up on an angle without spilling them, but can you see how UV they are? Down the back there, do you want us to turn the lights out, or are you happy with that? Yeah, so they're very, very bright. And with lures, it's the same scenario. They're definitely, UV just pops out really easy, if you can see that. Can you see that? I don't know if I'm shining in my eyes or shining on the thing, but it works.
it's a bit of a weird one. Like
Yeah.
we don't really know if this is what fish see, but it definitely makes a difference. I don't know. Everything with a bit of UV works a lot better.
Yeah.
Especially your Z-Mans.
Your
Yeah.
Z-Man's very UV
You
stuff.
get
Yeah.
Purple Death or Motor Oil Colour or Midnight Oil Colour, if you shine on them, they're not
They
brown,
completely
they're looking,
change.
they're purple.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
It does
Yeah.
help a lot in
It just makes a difference.
yeah.
But if you've got no UV, it doesn't do anything. It just, there's no change. Okay. That's about probably it. Tools of the trade. Okay,
Quickly, yeah.
there's a few things you need to have, which I always have in my little kitty here, is whether it be just a basic pair of lip grippers like that type of thing there, which we sell heaps of, to the better lip gripper. There's like 3 different classes. There's just cheaper style like that style there, which is the normal type lip grip. Then you go to the better ones that actually spin, swivel around like that style. Something like that's around about around $49 to you guys. And then you go to the really good ones like so. The better ones like this have a wider top on them so they don't hurt the fish as much. They spin, so when the fish turns, it doesn't flick out of your hands. That turns. Obviously got wires on them, but they're up around about $80. But it just depends on the quality you want to go. The other tool of mass importance is a hook out gun. I love hook out guns. I don't know if you guys have used this sort of thing before. They're just the essential. So anything under 40, I just hold it, or if I'm not going to keep it, I just hold the fish there, I just hold the boat, grab onto the shank of the hook, I just pull the lever forward, it locks the hook into here, pulls it into this little chamber on the side here, and it's locked in, and you just pull the hook out, it just comes straight out. You just flick it like that and it just falls off the hook into the water. No spiking you, okay? Good scissors are really important too, as in ones that have got serrated edges. You should be able to hold that really thin braid, which is going around somewhere. Sorry, Stu. Something there. Okay, there is there. You should be able to hold this really thin, right? And I'm not putting any pressure onto the other end, it's just loose. But you should be able to cut it like that by the millimetre, okay? It just cuts it. So these are cheap scissors, but get good cheap ones. Don't get crappy ones that don't cut. Some scissors look really good, but they're terrible. They're terrible.
Yeah.
So they've got to be fairly good. And little split ring pliers. The best little split ring plier by far, guys, one of the best is that little multi-tool thing. It's got a little split ring end on it. It's like, I think they're about 11 or 12 bucks to you guys, and it kicks butt, besides does everything else, but that little split ring end on it, it just seems to work really well. So that's about all the tools of the trade. Oh, glove. You might want to use a glove of some type, which is here somewhere, but it doesn't matter. So glove. When you get a big flathead on and you want to photograph it, if you put your hand, or any flathead, you put your hand in their mouth, they're just going to chafe here really bad, and here. So especially your right hand normally grabs it. So if you get a glove, just put it in the mouth and it'll bite onto it, and it doesn't hurt him too much, and it doesn't hurt you as well. Felting gloves are really good, the stainless steel ones, the grey ones, they're really good. They don't get into those. And that's about it, I think. Anything you want to add to that, Stu?
No, that's about
Cool.
it.
Okay. That's about it for tools, I think. So you've gone through all the gear, right? So now we're going to talk about how and where to do it. So we'll grab that little map out, which is right here. Oh, not right there. Oh, sorry, Stu, one there, mate. Is that the broadwater one? Yep, that's it. So Stu and I both have a lot of spots we like to fish, and every spot, when you fish the flathead class, you want to fish a little competitively. You got to understand you have about a 20-minute to half-hour window with 4 different wind directions. So you need 4 different spots to fish that 20-minute to half-hour window for every half hour of the day. So you need to have a lot of spots in your head. Okay. Some spots you can fish for 3 hours and make a mozza and get 20 or 30 fish out of it. But most of the time you're moving. It's a bit like any fishing. You can't just stay in one spot all day and catch them, okay? So this year, as I was saying earlier, the bait in the broadwater has just been phenomenal. And I've just been doing really well around Crab Island. Brown's Inlet's been really good. Brown's Island, that is. And Courage has been really good. The banks north of Crab have been really good. And that's where I would go to. How many people here get up jumping pin way at all? Most of you, how many people fish the broadwater end? Most of you probably do, I think. How many people here fish away from the Gold Coast? You do? Yeah, you do. Okay. Okay, so how many people here don't have a boat? That's easy, okay, good. Perfect. Okay, that's 100% score, that one. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. Don't have a watercraft. Sorry, I'll rephrase that. Could be kayak, could be anything, okay? Even a lilo will work. So we'll start at the bottom on that map on the left, okay? So I really like fishing along Kurrajee, which is that red mark where it says 0.5 on the right, and it says Kurrajee. Yep. On the left, oh, sorry, the left map, but on the right part of it.
That's out on the right. Ours is on the right.
Oh, is it? Is it? Yeah. Ah, okay. Sorry, that's a different one. Oh, sorry, is that all right? Oh, you'll need it though. Oh, you can refer to that one. I'll give you 2 maps. You get 2 for 1. Okay, okay guys, so rephrase that again. So we're now going to the right map, far right side, bottom corner, 0.5 kilometres. Sorry. Do you want to give one to the gentleman? Thanks, Sam. You can have two, mate. So that whole area along there, I like to fish down the run out tide. Okay, run out tide. Whether you troll it or cast it, both is very good. And you go all the way up to what we call Portuguese, which is where the old oyster lease is before you get to the wall on the seaway. Okay, that's a really good area. Has anyone fished there before? And anyone done well there? Probably most of you guys won't want to tell me anyhow, but that's all right. So I can relate to that. So Crab Island's that little yellow island across from there in the middle, the little tiny island, little yellow one. That's Little Crab. We call that Little Crab, but I don't know if it's got that name or not. Big Crab's the one in front of Renault Bay Marina to the left of it. So that red mark, you sort of start about where that little island is, that other little tiny island, if you can see that there. It's a bit hard to see. You can't bring this up on the screen, Dave? Is that all right? Real quick. We're going to go hard on the broadwater.
Dougie, how long would it take you to motor up to Jumping Pen anyway?
It depends on your boat. If you sell a little 25 horse from Paradise Point, about half hour.
About what, 20 knots, something like
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Oh, not even half hour.
that? And
A half hour to the bar.
I'm fairly new to boating, so
Yep.
I'm being careful.
Yep.
Jumping Pen and Tiger Mullet and all up there.
Yep.
Is it quite safe passage up there? I mean, obviously I can read a map.
Oh, it is. Just as long as your boat doesn't break down and get sucked out and run out tide, which is the same as the seaway. But as long as your motor's sound, you can go anywhere you want, and you've got enough fuel, and don't hit a sandbar. All the above. No, but and you put the bungs in. But no. Sorry, I'm sorry it's taking a bit long tonight, guys, but there's a lot to cover. I mean, we're going to be really quick here. That Jason Henry's talking, then we'll go downstairs and the night's over. But I think we'll concentrate more on jumping, a little bit jumping area, but more the broadwater, because that's more accessible to most people in the room, I think. Okay, while Masaka's doing that, I'll come back to what we've been talking about. So Effron Island. Effron Island fishes really well both sides of Effron Island, trolling on the east side, casting on the west side, okay? Does that make sense? You'll see where Effron Island is. So the east side is that side of it, and the west side is that side of it, which is on the near the bridge. So there's a big bank there, and Stu and I, the Stu's ground lives near that area. We pull up there on the way back many times, have a quick flick, and we always pull straight away 2, 3 or 4.
Get a couple. Yeah.
Get a couple straight away. And often good fish. And there's been a lot of 90 pluses caught there by our customers on that spot. It's one of the bigger fish spots in the Broadwater. Okay. The banks, where it says Anchorage and SUBM cable, or that where it says Anchorage in the middle there, the middle of the Broadwater, that's the banks north of Crab Island, opposite sort of Sovereign, that big red line. That's the area that we fish trolling and casting. There's a lot of runs there where you can troll, and especially the tide's running out, and the fish come down from north and they drop into those little drains. We call them drains, like a little lagoon. Some of them are maybe 500 metres long by 80 metres wide, up to 2 metres deep. And you just do laps around, trolling round, and you'll catch fish, catch fish, catch fish, catch fish. Where the water drains in, you get a lot of ripple effects. You cast the ripples with the plastics and as we said earlier, and you'll smash the fish casting the plastics.
So you troll mainly on the Galco?
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, trolling's a good option. Like if it's high tide and they're hard to find, you can cover a lot of ground as well. But look, it's one of those things that casting and trolling's going to work the whole time. It's just one might work a bit better than the other at that time, you know. Yeah.
So we're talking about in this area here, guys. So in this area here, especially that lagoon there, that one's a great troll area. I think it's maybe about 10 years ago. The FLATHEAD Classic there was like 20 boats there trolling.
Still now.
Yeah.
Still now, yeah. Yeah, so it's a very popular area to troll in there and cast. And when the tide comes out, there's a bank here, it drops into this lagoon, and it's a very good fish to cast and bring it back towards you with the current. Okay. And when the tide comes in, you're forever looking and learning to look for drains. So the tide will push in, the bank's out, right? And there's like a little tiny creek coming out into the bank. And then when that creek starts to fill up before it goes over the banks, it'll then follow like an old, like a, looks like, you think it's a riverbed, a little drain, whatever we call it. But the water will then break that surface of the bank and then drop into that little ravine. And that, what was like a dead sort of little deep hole in the middle of the sandbar becomes flowing, and then it'll drain then into, from here into here. And where that drain comes out, that's where they are. That's where they're always sitting. So they're feeding there, and they're waiting for that water to fill up on the flats, and then they then go up into the shallow and spread out. So they're congregated in that area, and that's when you cast and you just get heaps. You might get 15 fish out of one hole, one drop off. So before they get up onto the flats. So the whole idea is you've got to think like the flathead, where he's going to be sitting, where he's going to be going next. And his mates are all there with him, and the big girls are there too. And that's where you're going to fish. And when it gets up in the flats, that's when it gets a little bit hard, and that's when you go then searching the top of the bank here, and you're looking for weed clumps and holes in amongst the weed. And then you start casting that area up on the top. It might only be, as Stuart said earlier, 1/2 metre deep or 1 metre deep. The flatties are going to be sitting there feeding on the bait. Then as it drains off, on the high tide's got bidding done, and as the tide starts to drop, they'll all get off those flats, off those weed beds, and they'll go down that little drain, and they'll drop on that outside again. You just go to the reverse side of it. So that's the inside of that. On the run-in tide, you're fishing this area here, but on the run-out tide, where's the table? Here, sorry, I meant to say here, that area there. So they'll come through this drain here, and they'll sit on this edge here, and when the tide starts to go out, this actually breaks through here, and it'll drain out here, and they'll all be sitting over here. They'll all fall over here, and you get them there on the run-out tide, casting mainly, more than trolling, casting. And same deal again, as soon as it starts to come in, they go back here, and they'll fall over to here. They feed where the water drops off from the shallow area into the deep. That's where they're feeding. Sorry.
Just in terms of like the law of twirls and the moon phases and all that sort of good part, spring and neap tides. Obviously, if it's a higher tide and it's up in the shallows, the weight of the bait fish can't escape, they drain off.
Yep.
But in your experience, are there sort of better times and moon phases, all that sort of good part?
I think with flathead, tides are more important than moon times for sure.
I like the lead up to a full better than after a full, definitely. But
on the moon or the tide?
Both.
Both, yeah. So I always find, for me, that the 3 hours before high is the hardest time to catch fish. Jay, so about you, mate, what's your hardest part, mate?
Well, it depends where you're fishing, don't you?
Yeah, that's true too. That is true too. Yeah.
But once you sort your areas out, you fish, you say curry, you crab, fish it on the low, fish it on the high, fish it on the middle if you've got the time. And then you'll pick your time when the fish will be there.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm saying earlier.
They'll be moved.
Yeah, that's right. They're the same fish, they just move around as they go from that side to that side.
Face different directions.
So what
Yeah.
you're saying is like there'll be areas that benefit from high tide because the bait fish, for example, can't escape. So, and because of the topography, that will leave it can't be there over there. So
Yep.
it's not because it's the moon, it's just
No, it's
the bait fish.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep. And then the moon.
Areas that you can't access, like obviously the top of the tide, bottom of the tide, you're not going to get up on the sand flats.
Yeah.
But then when the tide pushes up over the sand flats, those bigger flathead are moving up out of the banks,
Yeah.
and then moving up into the mangroves, sitting in the drains. That's when you go to your bigger hard bodies with your bigger plastics. And the fish are there. Like when you go over the top of the flats, you've done it plenty of times, don't you? When you go over the top of the flats and you cast 50 casts in one area, and you move 10 metres forward, and a 90 centimetre flathead comes up out of the sand and just moves away, and you go, just put 30 casts there, what do you need? And you can actually watch it swim away. And then you continue to throw another 30 casts and you'll just swim away again.
Yeah.
There's fat back.
Yeah.
When you get to the stage where they'll stop right beside your boat,
Yeah.
and you can nearly prod them on the head with the buddy of rod or the net, and you can watch them swim off.
Yeah. So, as Joe said, work out where they are on the tide. But another good area I really like is this area here at Brown's Inlet. From the southern entrance of Brown's Inlet, it's just too shallow getting there by your boat. Unless you got a little boat on a high tide. But this whole area here is a real good area to fish on the run-in and run-out tide, both. It drops off quite deep there. It's about 6 metres deep. and you can fish out in the abyss. We call it the abyss, which is the deep, or you can fish up on, cast it to the bank, and cast both sides and catch flathead. They're sitting all the way across that channel here. This area here on the northern entrance to Brown's Inlet, on the mid entrance, is the main entrance where the beacons are, fishes really well, and inside here fishes really well, casting all around these weed clumps and sand, little gullies and dips and that throughout here. And up here further, when the tide's coming in, this bank comes out, or just very shallow, but when it runs over there and drops into that edge, they're sitting all on that edge there, okay? And it's a great spot as well. We've pulled some big numbers of buddies out of this area here.
Isn't the old oyster lease, don't you?
Yeah, it's the old oyster lease just here, mate, yeah. And I've done quite well up here. This is Rat Island, up opposite Sovereign on the northern end. That whole bank there, which goes all the way through to the next red, I think, all on that bank there is really good. And in behind there's actually drains in there too, which will drop from sort of, I'd say halfway down tide, this is nearly out of water along here, and it'll drop down about 1.5 meters in the middle of 1.2 meters. Sand and weed clumps, sand, weed clumps. That's the area you want to look for. You don't want just all weed, and you don't want all sand. You want sand, weed, sand, weed, sand, weed. Okay? And they cast into the sand. So you need to get accuracy casting fairly good. Yep. Because you don't want to cast out and throw hook weed. No. So do you all understand that area down here, down on Courage and that?
Why don't they sit on the western side?
Over here?
Oh, crab.
This side, yeah, that's a really good question. Years ago, we have done really well in past on this area here, that little drain there, because that's the main channel over there, this drain here. It sort of goes up and it closes out a little gap on the bottom there. We've done really well through there, all the way down to here, but it seems to have closed out a bit on the bottom here now, so there's not as much flow through there like there was. And it's always beautiful and clear and nice there, and muddy drop-offs and perfect. But they haven't been there recently, I don't know why. Stuart?
Yeah. No, I haven't seen any other fish there. Like, not many there lately anyway, you know. Maybe some small ones, but...
On the high tide, we used to get them right up on the edge of the mangroves. You actually cast into the mangrove trees nearly, and quickly just switch it out of the trees, and then with plastics, and then work it. Once you got past the cobbled pegs, we'd then work the sand and mud and weed patches, and get some really good flatties. And the same on the other side as well, where the trees end. But the last couple of years, it's been a bit quiet there. Yeah, but there's plenty of bait there. It's strange. This area here is really good though. There's a couple of witches' hats here. Around those witches' hats is really good. They're like just the orange hats on a stick, and the edge along there is really good for catching flatties, casting what we're talking about tonight. Okay.
Where's your Millionaires Road?
Millionaires Road this is Jumping Pin, that's Pandanus Island. It's where all the big boats moor before you get to the lagoon, which I haven't got on here.
Yeah.
That's really good. At the moment, most of the fishing's been on the west channel here, around the measured miles, been really good. And where the entrances are to these drains here, particularly on the run out tide. So you got to remember, guys, right up to, that's Jacob's Well just there, right? Right up to those lead marks there is affected by the broadwater. Okay, so the tidal pull comes in right up to there, and it runs out from there. It doesn't run out from here back to the pin. It runs out from here back to the broadwater, back to the seaway. So that's why this area here fishes quite well. It's quite an active area.
You get all the fish coming from Jumping.
Oh, you get some of them will be in that area.
Yeah.
They're all spread throughout, but that area just seems to work really well. And on the run out tide, all this drains off and drops off, and the same deal, they sit on those drop-offs on all these little drains. And down here is really good too. Yeah, and I don't mind over there as well. That's sort of on the, we call that Shitter's Ditch in here. If you hear Shitter's Ditch, that's where Shitter's Ditch is. That's not too bad. And over that side there is really good. And then you're getting up to Banana Bank and further up the pin area there. But to be honest, you're going to get as many fish and quality down here at the moment as you've got up there. It's just the broadwater this year is, I don't know, you Jace, been fishing well.
Very, very quiet.
Jace loves to fish the broadwater. Sorry, Jace. I forgot.
Always go where he doesn't want to go.
Yeah. No, it's been fishing really well. Because a lot of our customers got kayaks, so they just paddle across the crab and fish around crab.
A lot of small fish.
A lot of small fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of small fish. That's right. But if you, I got one 74 today at the front of you, down this area.
Bigger than Stewie's.
No, I think what's your biggest issue, Stu?
77.
77. No.
Yeah.
I saw Stu lost one the other day, 80 something. Done the uni knot, bit off above the knot. Had a loop knot on there, had 2 lots to get through. Might have got.
Double the chance for it to bite through with a loop knot, I reckon. Nah, it chafes through a 12-pound leader. So if you are, that prawn that I put around, passed around, it's got light leader above it and then a short bit. Use a bite leader. The bite leader's 14 pound. They won't bite through that.
No one asked about leader size tonight,
They bite through 12 easy.
Yeah.
I've lost 3 this year, like big ones, and they just bite it off.
So we generally use about 12 pound to 14 pound leader as the main leader. But when we're fishing bigger fish area, known bigger fish area, we'll run 16, maybe 20 even in the deep. But generally we're trying to get away with 12 or 14 or a bite trace at the end.
Yeah.
When I'm trolling, I always use a bite trace.
Bite trace would
Where did you say it was the big fish area?
About 6
Big
inches.
fish area?
of,
Where did you say was
yeah,
the
it's
big fish area?
lighter above it.
The broadwater. No, serious. Here, I took my father-in-law out a few years ago and we fished next to crab there and I gave him the rod and he was casting away. How big is he? 94 or 98 centimetres, I can't remember. It was a friggin' monster. And I thought he had like a stingray, I was like, no, I'm just cast away, he'll be right. And his rod's next to me, pulled out this monster flat, I'm like, oh my gosh. And that was right here. Again, on that run out tide, dropping over that edge. Yeah, on that bank. But there's a lot of fish, there's a lot of big ones caught in here, in Browns Bay. But there's a lot of weed in there. But the snotweed this year hasn't been bad. You all know what snotweed is? So snotweed is that really fine stuff, like moss. And we are due to get it any moment. Don't know when. A bit more northerlies will bring it on, I reckon. But it's part of the parcel. We're all in the same boat, so. Okay.
Bite trace, sorry.
Bite trace, yeah.
Bite trace, what, 6 inches, 7 inches?
Yeah, start off with about, say 10 inch. I'll use it until it's about that long.
Yep.
Yeah. And then just cut off, do another one.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So folks, any questions at all?
What size on the bite trace do you use?
16 I use, but
Yeah, I use 14. Yeah.
12, 14, 16, 10's the minimum. For trolling, definitely use 10 now to get the action right. With the 16 bite trace at the end, it's a little one. But 12, 14 and 16, you can run 16 right through too. Works fine. Yeah. I just use it all bright. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep it small. Like, because you go mono to mono, go 5 up, 5 back, keep it short. With braid, you'd use like 10 up, 10 back or whatever, you know. Yeah. I think that's about it, folks. There's a lot of information to get there, but it's getting late, so it's 8:30, so we'll try and stop it here. Any questions at all, guys, that you want to know? You're all clued up?
What about on the beach?
Beach, okay, surf fishing, I've done a lot of that up on Stratty. I like to use more the paddle tails in the surf. I find their action's a bit better, more visual in the white water, I guess. And if you just run the same area you fish for whiting, we get like a drain that drains off a bank into a drain. That's where they sit in those gutters. I haven't tried it, but I would because I cast a beauty and I'll sit well in the surf. Yeah, haven't tried that yet. Yeah, have you tried it yet?
No, I haven't. No.
Ah, good call though.
Be alright, but.
Yeah, the trouble is the tail will bite them off. Yeah. So, we don't want that. Yeah, give that a go. Any other questions, folks? Okay, give it a go. Guys, just one last thing is using electric. How many guys got electrics on their boats? Okay, so try and only use it when you have to, which you don't become dependent on too much. Okay, so use it when the currents maybe run a bit, you want to cast up current, bring it down the current, you hold yourself in the spot. Or if there's an area where you want to fish and there's a lot of boats trying to move on you and you want to hold your ground, use it then. But when it's windy is when you use it the most, so you don't blow away too fast. So current and that are probably the least amount of times you want to use it. Drift with the current, you get more fish, I believe, rather than sitting yourself and fishing hard current with little jig heads is very hard. But when you're drifting and casting, it's a lot easier. But when it's windy, you need to have an electric motor, or just throw an anchor out. Or what I do when I don't use my electric is I just use my motor as a those things on the back of the bass boats in America. They put those things down. I just tilt my motor down. I'll hold myself in position, and I'll just get in front of the boat and cast. And it works really well. We've done it lots of times. Yeah. The Stewie and I never, like when I come second a couple of times and Stewie's come juniors, we never had electric outboards. We just did it. You're better off not relying on it, because a lot of people, when they get an electric motor, and especially in the Flathead Classic and the electric motor craps itself, they feel like they've just lost the game. They feel like they've lost. They want to go home and cry. Toughen up, okay? You don't need it, but we sell them if you want one. Okay, so we're going to do a drawdown, Stu.
Yep.
So guys, so first I'd like to thank a couple of guys that put some stuff in your bags tonight, guys. So it's a bit more than what we normally put in. And secondly is the prizes, because there's a few people here tonight. We bumped it to $1,300 worth. So the first one's about 300, second one's about 250, then 200, it goes down from there, sort of thing. So Stu, actually, Stu always draws the front row. I'm going to get the psycho to draw this time. If you draw the front row, I know something's going on here. Next time. So we'll be downstairs to help you out, guys, for about an hour, but the specials go on for until next 2 weeks, till we do the next seminar after this one. We'll repeat again next week. Lucky there's a road back to hang on to. Number 8, which is Blake. Oh, well done, buddy. So you win. You win. You win this one. Oops. That's you, buddy. Thanks, mate. Okay, second one.
Thanks, mate.
Guys, do you all know about does anyone not know about our in-store flathead comp? Okay. You don't, yeah, I know about it. So guys who don't know about it, what it is just every $30, every $50 you spend on fishing tackle for flathead, can be anything, lures, rods, reels, we don't care. Every $50 you get a ticket. Ticket goes into the drawer. We got your details. Just put the number of the docket number on the butt. On about the 5th of October, we draw out 4 winning tickets. Actually, 5 ones are reserved. And those 4 people then meet us down at the boat ramp about 2 weeks later, 5 o'clock in the morning, and you pick myself, the Stuart, myself, Big Tall Dean, and Greenie or the Stig, one of them, out of the hat, and you fish a one-on-one for the day. So going to be one of you, unfortunately. So and we go hard, it's very competitive, and you'll learn heaps with us that day when you're out fishing, which every one of us 4 it is. And you guys have, in total between us all, we're fishing for about 2 grams worth of prizes. So it's a great comp. Okay, and then we have lunch and have a couple of beers, and then the day's over about 3 o'clock. It's a great comp. So you can enter as many times as you want. Stewie, you're up. And we're going to get Jace down this before we go downstairs, guys. Jace is going to do I'm going to stop halfway through this, and Jace's going to come in, so make sure you'll stay here for a minute.
One near the back,
Stewie.
27.
You redeemed yourself, mate. Number 27, which is, get this right, guys. It is Mick Lata. Well done, mate.
I'll give it to you after, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. You got the stuff downstairs. Well done. Okay. Third one. I'll draw the third one. Here's your ticket there. Thanks, Stu. Oh my God, I hate doing that. This is first in my hand, so I'll get that. Rather than stuck to it. Number 9. So very close. Well done, buddy. This one here is yours. I think that's third. That's yours, mate. Well done, buddy. Thank you, mate.
Thank you, mate.
Time, mate.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
Okay, none further there, no. So can you go back up again? Thank you. Oops, sorry. Oh, I did the same before too. Okay, middle of the field. Mike Keith, number 16. Well done, Mike. So you are this one. Enjoy, buddy. Good on you, mate. Well done, mate. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm going to stop there. Oh, no, I'll do one more because we've got 10. We've got 10 prizes tonight, guys. Stu? We really appreciate you guys coming along, and we really even more appreciate if you get fish. Okay, so our whole objective is to get you guys catching fish.
Doing better
what you're doing at the moment, which may be okay.
Number 6.
Number 6. Oh, Stu, you're getting close to the front row, mate.
Yeah, mate.
Mate. Thank you very much. Cheers, buddy. Thank you. You're welcome, my friends. Okay, I'm going to stop there for a sec. Jason's going to come up, do a quick few-minute talk about the FLATHEAD Classic. And if you have any questions, he will be downstairs to ask later. You can ask a couple now if you want, but we're yeah. So in the bags, Jace?
In the bags is one of these. I'll explain what they are.
Yeah, go for it, mate.
Hey, all right.
Do you want to tell when the FLATHEAD Classic's on first? Probably the best thing,
Yeah. I won't take up much of your time. I know there's a few prizes that you're going to go home and to your families and go downstairs and buy stuff first, obviously.
Don't have to.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm Jason, Secretary of Gold Coast Sport Fishing Club. We run the FLATHEAD Classic. I assume you're all here talking about flathead, so everybody knows about the FLATHEAD Classic. Family-friendly event, runs from the 27th of September until the 30th, so I think we're 19 days out, something like that. It's virtually...
Actually, today is the second day of it in 3 weeks' time.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what he said. And then, who used to fish the Classic before? Was there many that have fished? Oh, we got a few habit. I've seen there's a few getting around here with families and that, young boys and young girls. I myself fished it with my son for, I think this is about our 7th year. He was 12 when he started, so don't let it think that fishing with your kids is a struggle. Look, honestly, it is a struggle, but when they catch those first big fish that come over the side, the smile on their face, and the pictures are just their next level. And not everyone's in it to win it. Everyone's in it to have fun. It's a great event. It's 3 days of fishing. 3 days of fishing, the 28th, 29th, 30th. So it's it's the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it's when the boat traffic is
Not too bad.
not too bad. It's pretty minimal. And also, so basically, for your entry fee, it's $350 an angler, which I know sounds a lot, but for what you get, it's not. You get Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night meals each night, cheap beers, that's always good. And you get a grab bag of goodies, which has probably got between $700 and $800 worth.
It's a lot of money's worth.
A lot of Tony's been a long time sponsor of our club, long time sponsor of the Classic. You get a lot of his gear, you get a lot of opposition gear, obviously, but it's not just that, it's the fact that you go into a draw for a boat. We give away 2 boats, 24 grand the top boat, and currently we're sitting on about 450 anglers, I believe, so you're virtually 1 in 450 chance of winning a $25,000 worth of boat. The second prize is another boat.
That's about 450 k's worth.
About 450 grand worth of stuff we give away, and of that, probably 90% is actually random draws. Like if you happen to win, if you happen to be good enough to win, you get rods, reels, prizes. But it's more. This comp is more based on a prestige comp. If you win, what you win is minimal compared to what you win as a random draw. We've had guys who come and just drank beer for 3 days. They go in the chance to win a boat.
Yeah. There's a lot of, probably, I'd say 10 to 15% of the fleet don't catch a fish, but they drink lots. Have a good time.
Honestly, don't. They used to have to bring in, like this year it's changed, it's app based this year, so you put your fish in through an app, which is, sounds hard, but it's actually really easy. So before that, we always used to be, you have to bring your score sheet in, and when you're sitting on the score desk and the lineup's 50 metres, the poor bugger at the land, he's caught 1 fish. He's caught 1 5.8, and you're like...
But he's drank 10 beers while he's waiting to hit the line.
And you go, how was your day, mate? He goes, it was awesome, and he's red as a beetroot. He's been drinking beers all day, he's been fishing with his son or his mates or whatever, but he's come in, but it's not just that, like the fun starts at night. Once you get off the water, you come back to the precinct. We're at the precinct this year. For those of you who've been there at a Classic before when we've had the precinct, awesome experience. We got
down there in the Smith Street, guys.
Down there in the Smith Street, we rope off a full area. Paul Burt's doing the MC, and again, he does a great job. Myself, I'm on the roving mic, so I go around to talk to everybody. about how good or how, well, the guys who have done really well, they don't tell you nothing. The guys who have done crap, they're the ones that say, oh, me mate, I had a 50 beside the boat and he sunk the net into the hook and I lost it. And how many more did you catch today? He goes, that was it. We got nothing. But it really is a great experience. Everyone's got one of those in their bag. That's, you scan on the online little cue card down the bottom there and get on our website and have a look. You've got that one in there. We're giving away a boat, so it's $5. But for a cost of a beer, you can buy one ticket to win a boat. 5,000 is limited at. I think we're around about the 2,000 mark at the moment of tickets. So yet again, $5 for a chance for a boat. And that is if you want to come and join. We've got a couple of members here tonight. Come and join our club. We have monthly meetings. Doug is a good supporter of it. He gives Classic Catch every month, $100 voucher. We've got an actually meeting tomorrow night. If any is allowed out 2 nights in a row, it is a Friday night. So come down and have beers. But we've got Steve Wilson from Berkeley. He's coming down and doing a bit of a flathead talk. Not a great deal of flathead talk. He's more of a brim man, Steve. But
he fishes the deep a bit.
He fishes the deep a bit, but he's actually going to talk about all the new Berkeley products that are coming out, which is pretty informative.
I've ordered it all.
Have you?
Yeah.
You've got all of them?
Everything coming.
Okay, so everything he talks about, you can come in and buy from Doug. But thanks for listening to me. I really appreciate you all coming along and supporting.
Is there any quick questions for Jason now, guys? Or you talk to him downstairs
I'll be
if you like.
downstairs while he's buying stuff. But any questions at all regarding anything to the Classic, just hit me up. Like I said, I've fished it. We've done pretty well over the years. I've done pretty well in the mixed section fishing with my son. So, and he's old and big now, so he's no longer a junior anymore. He's a senior. But no, any questions? See me.
Oh, and the juniors get into. Did your son win a boat too, man?
$350 for the seniors. We actually have a junior section which is 16 and below, and also a small fry section. So those, I think it's, don't quote me, I think it's 12 or 11 and lower. They actually fish against each other. And the ones from 12 to 16, they get their own competition as well. But the actual juniors and the small fry, they go in the draw for their own boat as well. So it's I believe it's a 3-metre dart.
Something like that,
With a little 3.5 horsepower, I think.
Yeah.
So they're in the draw for their own boat.
So are they still collected as a team of 2 on one boat? Or are they a third?
You can have a mixed team, like juniors, senior.
It's three max to a team. So whether that's 2 seniors or a junior and a senior. So the juniors and seniors, the mixed division, actually fish against their own mixed division. So you get your senior anglers, they fish all the men, they fish against their own 3 or 2 men, and the mixed divisions actually go against each other. So if you take yourself and your missus and young one, you're a mixed team.
And you can't fish on your own though.
You can't fish on your own. Do not fish on your own. That's
and the ladies is growing to the ladies section.
The ladies section is it used to get a dozen anglers, but now the ladies are
fishing, right?
Fishing now.
Good on you, love. Yeah, good.
You'd know. But it really is. It's something as an angler, as a flathead angler, you want to do at least once because it really is a great experience. And even if you don't catch many fish, which in all honesty, there's probably 20 teams that are a chance of winning, but they're the ones that go hard. The rest of them are there to have a great time. You know, they come in with the big bug eyes because they forgot their sunscreen or almost lost his hat. But there's random draws. You fish for 3 days. I mean, for $350 and all your food and all your goodie bag, and you can fish for 3 days.
And the prizes.
Yeah, and the prizes.
And lots of yarns.
And lots of yarns, especially at the end of the day. I know you want to fish it, don't you? All right, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Well done, buddy. Thank you. Okay, back to the draw.
Back to the draw.
I think it's my turn. Number 6 is reverse roll tonight, Stewie. Is Gareth, number 2. About time you guys reciprocal. Okay. Cheers, mate. Thank you. Thanks, buddy. Cheers, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Okay, your turn. Guys, thanks for coming along tonight. Really appreciate it as always. And anything we can help you with, you're welcome to ask us. Stewie, number 20, Murray, white. Well done, Murray. Thank you. Cheers, mate. Thank you. Good on, mate. Stewie, you'll go, mate. 8 8th prize, I think, still around 60 or 70 bucks worth.
Number 28. Go to the back somewhere.
28, which is Rodney.
Oh, well done,
Oh.
Mike.
Three gentlemen that were booked in for next week that made it this week got a prize. Well done, gentlemen. Thank you. Okay, next one, 9th one. Got my drawer. Okay, midfield, Matilda. Well done, love. The girl, I think. Going down. Thank you, love. Good girl. Cheers, thank you. And the last one, bit of the dreads, but it's all good part, Stu.
Number 32.
Last one. Oh, well
Florian.
done, Florian. Well done, buddy. I'll take it downstairs if you want, mate. Is that all right? Stu will take it downstairs. Well done, buddy. Okay, guys. Thank you, Stewie. Thanks, everyone, for coming along. And